Hey Spuddies, PotatoMcWhiskey here, and welcome to Sid Meier's Civilization 6. And today, we're going to be playing a challenge that I got to design. Now, all you have to do to play this challenge is load up Civ 6. I don't even think you need to create a 2K account and link it, but you do get the free Cat Scout thing if you do that. And then you click this Play Now button to play the Emperor version, or you can click the arrow to play the Prince version. We're going to play a little Emperor version for you here today. This is a sponsored video. Thank you so much to Firaxis and 2K for sponsoring this video. There will be links down in the description that will allow you to learn more about Civilization 6 and potentially purchase it if you have not yet. And so today I get to play what is arguably my favorite civilization in a culture victory only mode. So we are starting off in the classical era right here, which means we have all the basic technology from the ancient era unlocked. We start off with a little bit of a kickstart here. Same for the culture tree, and we have a very interesting start location right here, if I must say my soul. I like the idea of settling on the floodplain. Now, we got to talk a little bit about the Khmer special ability. So we have Monasteries of the King. Holy sites are granted a major adjacency with rivers, a culture bomb, and food equal to its adjacency bonus, and +2 housing if it's on a river. So if I were to put a holy site right here, it would get me 3 food and 3 faith, and it would claim all of the adjacent tiles. Be fantastic. I think I want to put my holy site right here because there's another ability here, Grand Barres, which gives cities with an aqueduct to get +1 amenity from entertainment and +1 faith for every population. Farms will provide +2 food if they're adjacent to an aqueduct and +1 faith if they're adjacent to a holy site. There are 2 farms right here that will be, well, I almost certainly am going to put a farm here. So I'm thinking I could move a tile down if I wanted to. Another way I could do this is if I settle the city here, then I were to put the aqueduct here. These would be, so I think their baseline, they're 3 food, be +1 from the farm, then another +2 from the aqueduct. So this would be a 6 food farm without any other adjacency bonuses or bonuses going at all. And we could put the holy site somewhere else nearby, like for example, right here. And then if we put a farm in between both the holy site and the aqueduct, it will benefit from both. So this would be a +2 food, +1 faith farm. So I think that's kind of an interesting way to do this. Now we also have the Prasat, which is a unique temple replacement building. It gives you 0.5 culture for every pop in the city, and once you have flight, it gives you 10 tourism if the city is a population of 10 or higher, and 20 if the city is 20 or higher. So our goal is to grow 20 pop cities, and there's going to be a lot of food required to do that kind of thing. Now there is an alternative choice here. I could settle in place, because if I settle in place, I have access to a 2 food and a 2 production tile, as well as a 2 food, 1 production, 1 culture tile. And I could just shift this whole network of things up 1 tile. And I kind of want to run through that experiment here. So if I were to go aqueduct here, I put the holy site there, I could surround the holy site in farms. This has a lot of appeal to me from the point of view of being able to grow an incredibly tall city incredibly quickly. So I think for the amazing potential of this, I'm going to go ahead and settle in place. We do want to found a city here. I get +1 era score for placing a city within 2 tiles of a river that could flood, and I will tell my mod to automatically delete the map tags that I place when I place something on the map tag. I'm going to send my spearmen down south 2 tiles to explore this river slightly. Now something that is really, really important is that this isn't a +2 food for every adjacent aqueduct. It's +2 food if adjacent to an aqueduct. So you only ever benefit once from both of these benefits. You cannot double trigger them, so to speak. But if we were to think of like an area of influence around each one of these things, that's a good way to think about things. I'm going to send my scout to the southwest because I want to know what's on this river, because this is a really good candidate for a settlement. Looking at the tiles that were working early, I think these are completely acceptable tiles to work. I'm going to be working on food and production as a priority. Now, my builder spawned over here. I do think getting the silk improved could be quite valuable, because amenities are really useful, and this would give my city another +1 amenity, which I like. I could also sell this to the AI when the time comes. Now I have the option of immediately buying the tile that my holy site will go on and placing it there, and doing a religion rush, which can be extremely powerful with the Khmer, particularly in the situation that we're in. And I think in this situation, I almost never would do this. But because we're playing the Khmer, getting the right beliefs is super, super important for growth. So I'm going to go ahead and buy the holy site right there, buy the tile. Then from a culture point of view, I want to get political philosophy and then immediately go for theology. I want political philosophy because I want to get the next tier of government because there's a lot of benefits from having more government cards. And then I want to get theology because I want to unlock our unique prasat, which will give us that extra culture for population. So I'll be able to leverage a lot of resources out of a single city. Now, in terms of my technology research, it's pretty much immediately starting research on engineering because you want the aqueduct, because we got a lot of benefits from having the aqueduct when we're playing the Khmer. Policy slots for our government, I think the classic God King to get our pantheon a lot sooner would be really, really nice. And I will also go ahead and grab myself discipline so that I can fight barbarians more effectively with my scout and my spearman. In terms of government appointment, I think Pingala is a very clever choice here. We're going to have to make significant use of lumber mills because if I do a scan for hills, you can see there's not a whole lot of production potential around my capital city. So I am going to have to rely pretty heavily on lumber mills this game, which means building a water mill in order to boost construction and then researching construction to get access to the water mill. So I'm going to place pins on these forests to remind myself not to harvest them. I want to put a plantation right there, and I think camps are pretty nice because of their baseline gold income. One of the things the Khmer struggle with is with generating gold. So having 2 improvements in our capital city that generates gold is incredibly nice. Let's go ahead and build that plantation with our builder. That'll add +2 gold to this tile, increasing our gold income from 5 to 8. Right, God King is giving me one as well. And then the spearman is using, +2 gold, really, really powerful. Now my main goal with scouting is, oh my god, I cannot believe, is that the Pamu, what is it called? The Piety? I don't know how to say this. It's a 3 tile, impassable natural wonder, provides +3 gold and +2 culture to adjacent tile. The city that owns the tile receives +4 gold on its outgoing international trade routes. This could be great to be building a trade hub city over here. A very, very interesting proposition. If I check, now, if I were to put a holy site right there, I would get +4/+4. Are you guys smelling what I'm smelling? Because I'm smelling a Petra city. All those bright green tiles are potential God Petra tiles. So I think I'll explore a little bit more around this area and see if we can maybe make a play for Petra. All right, take a look at the deer camp. I'm going to build a camp right there. Beautiful. That's another +2 gold, which is going to help us buy the tiles we need, as well as buy builders. Builders are fairly cheap. I mean, not the cheapest, but being able to get a builder for a builder for 200 gold would be really, really nice. And we'll be able to get them pretty quick. The more tiles we can improve, the better. I am going to prioritize improving the iron here. That's going to be a +1 production tile, which is fantastic. In the early game, production tends to snowball you harder than anything else. And so production it is. That's now a 2-2-1 tile. So I think working my 2 camps plus the mine is fine. We could alternatively decide to work the cattle tile here. My current food surplus is 2.2, so if I work a +3 food tile, I will actually grow 50% faster. Growing 50% faster has a lot of benefits. Even if it slows down my holy site by a single turn, speeding up the growth of my population by 5 turns, I think has a lot of benefits. Because that means every single pop that comes after this will come slightly sooner. We did find CHUNGUS, who is easily one of the most powerful city-states in the entire game for when you're playing the Khmer. That's insane. Or the Khmer, rather, is how you're supposed to pronounce it, I believe. Oh my god. So these guys give you +1 faith for every follower in the city if they're following our founded or majority religion. Basically, we will get even more faith per population based on how many trade routes we have in a city. We did just meet Firaxis, who is Greece. It is a bit painful to meet Greece in this challenge because Greece, it tends to have extremely good culture income, which makes them quite difficult to beat in a culture victory. Culture is the resource you use to defend against the culture victory, and Greece is extremely good at generating culture, which makes them more difficult to beat, essentially. I did see some meteors fall into the fog of war over here, so I'm going to send my spearman to go collect that. I should get a chariot from it. All right, let's scoop up that meteor. Yoink. That's going to get me a free military unit, a chariot that I should be able to use to explore to my northwest. Amazing. We have access to our pantheon, and I think the pantheon we want to go for when we're playing the Khmer is River Goddess. That's going to give us +2 amenities and +2 housing to cities if they have a holy site adjacent to a river. Considering how many incentives we have to build holy sites adjacent to a river, I think this is a fantastic pantheon when we're playing the Khmer, in particular when we're 1 turn away from finishing a holy site and getting a huge amenities boost. We have found another continent down here, which is excellent. Now, we have the holy site finished and ready, And if I hover over it, there it is. +2 food from this holy site. That is wonderful. Absolutely fabulous. So we have a few choices that we can go for as the next phase of the development of our capital. Monuments would make a lot of sense because by the time we finish the monument, it will significantly speed up the rate that we acquire drama and poetry as well as theology. The other option is to go straight for a shrine to speed up the rate at which we earn great profit points so that we can get a religion faster. A slightly more unorthodox option would be to go for the watermill to get the +1 food and +1 production, and especially get that +1 food from the bonus resources, which would make these 4 food tiles. And if I were to work both of those, this city would fill up on population incredibly quickly, allowing it to work a lot more of these high productive tiles. I think I quite like the idea of going for the watermill just because the situation seems to feed into it in a very nice way. The other option, of course, would be to build the ancient walls to speed up the research to getting the aqueduct, which would give us a huge boost to our faith income. We don't really have a way to spend our faith right now, so we don't need to worry about that at the moment. Yeah, another player built the oracle. I'm not too worried about that. You could make an argument that we should go for things like the pyramids, the Great Bath and all that stuff, but I really just do care more about getting my basic infrastructure up, because those wonders, while they are fantastic, would distract away from some of the other options that I have. Now, I mean, like a Temple of Artemis in this particular game would be fantastic. Like if I just hover over this tile here, if I were to build the Temple of Artemis right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 potential amenities, potentially 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 6 potential amenities if I were to build the Temple of Artemis in my capital. That's actually absurd. 6 amenities is an insane amount of amenities, and I should do that. I'm going to finish the watermill first, and then hopefully I can purchase a builder to step onto this forest to chop it. I'm going to go ahead and appoint Pingala like I had talked about, but I never actually got around to doing, and I'm going to get him Connoisseur so that we can get a huge culture boost, so that we don't need to build a monument to get a high culture level. Connoisseur gives you +1 culture per turn per population in the city, and since we're playing the Khmer, who grow population really fast and who tend to benefit from having high populations, it seems like a good bit of synergy right there. Pericles sent me a delegation. I'm going to declare a friendship with him and send him a delegation as well, because I don't want him to declare war on me. And so for 30 turns, he literally cannot declare war on me from a mechanical standpoint. I'm also going to offer him mutual open borders, because the AI will tend to offer you a little bit of money if you do this. He's going to give me 6 gold per turn, I think, for 30 turns for mutual open borders. So I'll go ahead and take that deal, and I'll even sell him a little bit of my gold, my iron for his gold. That'll secure my income, allowing me to do the builder purchase a little bit sooner. Now, in this particular way of playing, we are settling more cities is always better, no matter who you're playing, but the Khmer can kind of get away with not settling too many. You don't need to settle too many cities with them. The more cities you settle, the better. 2 10 pop cities are more efficient at generating tourism than 1 20 pop city, so it is still good to settle a lot of cities, but you don't need to rush. In particular, in this situation, we don't need to rush, because we're more concerned with getting a good start. There's political philosophy that's going to give us our government. We have a couple of valid choices here. We can either go for Classical Republic for the great people points, the amenities and housing, or we can go for Autocracy for the baseline yields and production towards wonders. Since I'm about to start building a wonder, I am going to go ahead and take Autocracy. For that little bit of production coming along, it's going to be really nice. I'm also going to plug in urban planning and take out my God King policy, and instead I'm going to plug in Revelation so that we can get great profit points. I'll also plug in Charismatic Leader so I can get influence points towards earning city-state envoys. I haven't seen any barbarians, so I'm just going to plug in conscription to save a little bit of gold per turn. Thankfully, barbarians have not been a problem for me at the moment. Now, we did run into Poundmaker. It's an honor to meet you, Poundmaker. I'm going to immediately send him a delegation. This is an important part of playing a culture victory style of play, is send delegations and get open borders with people, and even try to declare friendship on the first turn if you can, because that'll mean that you can focus entirely on building your economic engine that you need to win the game, and you can completely ignore building a military. The watermill is completed in Angkor Thom, and now we're getting an absurd amount of food per turn. So to put it in perspective, how much better it is to work these 4 food tiles over a 2 food tile. Each population in your city eats 2 food. So basically, if I work this grassland tile, I get 0 profit from this. If I work this cattle tile, it costs me 2 food to work it, and I get 1 food profit. So I'm getting like a 50% of what I'm spending, right? I'm putting in 2 food, and I get back 3. So I'm profiting a little bit. That's not even counting opportunity cost on food or production, right? But if I come in here and I put 2 food into this, I get 2 food out of it, It's literally infinitely better than this tile, because this tile has basically zero profitability, and it's twice as good as this tile. So I really need you to kind of hammer this into your brain. A 4-food tile isn't twice as good as a 2-food tile. A 4-food tile is twice as good as a 3-food tile, and a 4-food tile is infinitely better than a 2-food tile. I really want you to hammer that idea into your brain. Every +1 on a tile is insane. It is an insane level of productivity increase. Now, coming into Angkor Thom, we finished the watermill. It would be prudent to build the shrine to get in preparation for building the prasat. We do have a little bit of time before we really need to do that. And so what I might do is to build a builder, put a couple of turns into the monument, use gold to buy the shrine, and chop the tile that I'm going to build the Temple of Artemis on. It's kind of a complicated maneuver, but then save up the money that I got from trading and use that to buy the shrine, so I don't have to hard build it. It's it's a little bit of a complicated sort of dance of juggling, construction queues and gold resources and builder chops, but I will briefly, I'll kind of explain each step as we go. I am using some UI mods, by the way, so my game will look slightly different to yours unless you also use the UI mods. The UI mods should be linked in the description of the video. It should say these are the UI mods I use, and they'll just be linked to the Steam Workshop. So I can chop right here for 45 production, or I can come into the city, and instead of chopping out the monument, I can cancel the monument by having the building queue active, which means the city is now building nothing. So you can see here, the Temple of Artemis is going to take 14 turns. Now, I want to build the Temple of Artemis on this forest tile, but if I place it here, it's going to remove the woods, and I want the production from chopping that wood. So here's what we do. We go into our government. I can't afford to change it. I was going to plug in the Core V card. I probably should have done that. It's fine, not a big deal. What we're going to do is before we place the wonder, we're going to chop the tile. That's going to put the production into buffer, which means now it's only going to take 11 turns to build the Temple of Artemis. And so we use a builder charge, use a forest that was going to get destroyed anyway, and we get this faster. So all in all, it's a huge benefit to do it. And that's what I call the pre-chop. It's important to do pre-chopping. You chop before you place. That's what I call the pre-chop. I have met Gandhi. It's an honor to meet you, Gandhi. I'm going to immediately send Gandhi a delegation for 25 gold. I'm going to offer him mutual open borders. He'll make me pay for it. That's fine. I'll offer to sell him my iron. Maybe I can get a better price on my iron by selling it to anyone. Yeah, 3 gold per turn. This is the quick deals mod. It just makes trading with the AI a little bit simpler. It doesn't actually change mechanically how it works. It just changes the UI. My farmer is in position. You could argue that I should be building improvements that give me production. However, I do like the idea of building a farm right here because that's going to add +1 food to this tile, bringing it up again, right? The profit went from 2 to 3, which is now 50% better than it was, and I'm getting +1 faith from it because this is a farm adjacent to a holy site. So this is just all sorts of better in all sorts of ways. Okay, bad luck. Somebody built the Temple of Artemis before me. There are a couple of switches here we could make. We could, for example, switch into the Etamananki. The Etamananki would give me +2 science and +1 production to all the marsh tiles in my empire, as well as +1 science and +1 production to all the floodplains for the city, which would include these farms and the farms that would be around here. So the Etamananki could be a really good transition, or the pyramids would give us a lot of extra builder charges from our builders, which is super valuable, or the hanging gardens increasing our growth by 15% would allow us to get our population a lot faster. And remember, we benefit a lot from getting population. I could also go for the Great Bath, which is a bit like a sort of runner-up prize version of the Temple of Artemis. The thing I like about Etamananki is that it gives me production. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on the Etamananki. I'm going to place it on, I think I'm going to place it right here. Even though I had a farm plant there, it's just a tile that I don't have to pay for, and it won't slow down the rest of my build as a transition. Now, we did manage to save 39 of the production that we'd put into that wonder, which is great. I'm going to buy marble from Gandhi for 2 gold per turn. Boom. Thank you for the gold, Gandhi. We want amenities because by having +3 amenities in our capital city, we actually get a 10% bonus to our production. We can increase that to a 20% increase if we can get up to +5 amenities. Now, we successfully researched the aqueduct. So let me go ahead and pop in here. I'm going to grab this aqueduct. I'm going to place it right here. However, I'm not looking to build the aqueduct yet. It does give me a huge amount of faith, but I don't need it just yet. However, by placing it, I lock in its price. The price of a district goes up consistently throughout the game. Every time you research a technology or a civic, depending on which tree, your science or your culture tree, you have researched more of, the cost of your districts will increase. So by placing the district even though I don't plan on constructing it, I save a little bit of production in the future because once it's placed, its price no longer increases. So it's a very, very small little optimization, and you don't always want to do it. Like, you don't want to crush an important tile or resource that you're going to extract or whatever, but it is generally good practice to place your districts down in preparation for building them later. So the next thing to build now is the lumber mill. We want to be getting lumber mills up online as soon as possible, or rather the next thing to research is the lumber mill. We want to be getting lumber mills online as soon as possible because we need that production. We don't have a huge number of ways to make production in this city, and so lumber mills are going to be one of our primary methods. There is theology. We can now build the Prasat. So I'm going to head over to Anchor Thom and purchase my shrine to increase my great prophet points per turn. In the great prophet screen, I am going to be the first to get a religion unless somebody builds Stonehenge. Somebody did build Stonehenge, so hopefully don't take the beliefs that I want, because if they do, I will be very sad. I'm going to put 2 envoys into CHUNGUS because I want to be suzerain of them, and I also want the era score from being suzerain of them, plus the scouting information is invaluable. I'm going to be so sad if they take Feed the World every time. Dude, the AI actually loves this belief so hard. They love it. I could reload this turd 5 million times and the AI will take Feed the World every single time. If I had thought about that, I would have ran a holy side prayer. Morbus, it's time to go back. Insert some kind of rewind, Morbus. I just got a vision of the future and I know what I need to do. I'm going to do a holy side prayer immediately in order to make sure that I get a religion. Oh, look at that. We got our great prophet on turn 35. 1 turn sooner than if our opponents had founded a religion. Why, I think I will found Buddhism and take Feed the World. Normally I wouldn't do this kind of a reload save scum type thing, but this video is kind of about showing people how to enjoy the game rather than like compete in the challenge. The challenge competition comes when you're playing. Like, can you play as well as me? Can you beat my challenge to win a culture victory as the Khmer? And fundamentally, if I hadn't forgotten that the AI really hungers for Feed the World, I probably wouldn't have screwed around with getting wonders. I usually don't in my religion games. Hey, I'm a forgetful boy. So the belief that we really want is Feed the World and the Gurdwara. We want all that food, all that housing, all day long. Boom. That's +3 era score. Now, the only real wonder that we want to build this game is actually the Mahabodhi Temple. I will try to finish the Yadamananki, but I think I will try to gold purchase the Prasat and then try to hard build the Mahabodhi Temple. Because if we could pull that off, it would be huge. I'm going to start researching recorded history to get another governor title. That way I can give Pingala another promotion. Now that we can't earn great profits anymore, it probably makes a lot of sense to plug in scripture and then replace urban planning with Core V. Oh man, Yadamananki has been snatched. All the good wonders have been snatched. Well, I can do a little sale of some iron here. Use my gold to quickly purchase. Oh, I never bought the shrine. Damn it. Okay, I need some gold. Am I willing to sell my soul for some gold? You bet your bottom I am. Why, yes, this is one of the most tedious exploits in the history of civilization. Basically, the AI will always sell you. I will always give you 1 gold for a diplomatic favor because that's the minimum they can offer you. They don't want diplo favor right now, so they'll only ever offer 1 gold. However, that valuation from their side is the same. And so what that means is I can now go to them and buy diplomatic favor off of them for 1 gold, which I can then go back to selling them 1 gold at a time in order to get enough gold to buy the Prasat, because I don't want the overflow production from this wonder building to go to waste. PotatoMcWhiskey gets sponsored. PotatoMcWhiskey in the same video uses exploits and save scums. Yep, that's the kind of guy I am, and they knew that when they sponsored me. And if they didn't, well, they should have. Plus, I just think it's kind of funnier to do it this way. I mean, this is the way people really do play Civ, you know? People reload when things don't go their way, and people do all sorts of crazy little things to squeak out a little edge here. So I'm going to buy the Prasat now, and because this is a temple building, boom, there's +4 era score. Because it's a temple building, I can actually get started on the Mahabodhi Temple, because it requires you to have a temple in the city. So I'm going to plonk that down right there. And the rest of the gold that I'm going to earn this game is going to go into builders to make lumber mills when the time comes. Hello, Gilgamesh of Sumeria. It's an honor to meet you. We shall exchange information on our capital so I can know where you live, good sir. I'm going to send him a delegation I'm going to offer him mutual open borders. AI will typically pay you for open borders, but it's important to get open borders because you want them to like you more, and getting open borders with the AI will improve your relationship with them. There's recorded history, which will give us another governor title, so we can go ahead and take research around Pingala, which will give us +1 science per turn for each citizen in the city that he is established in, which is our capital, and there are 9 pops in here, so that should be worth a healthy 9 science per turn, which, if I do say so myself, is a pretty nice amount. Well, the only civic we could research is games and recreation, which will lead us to defensive tactics, which will get us yet another governor title, which should lead us to feudalism, getting those extra 2 build charges on builders. Now, it would be incredibly nice if we could finish the Mahabodhi Temple before this era ends. There is a slim chance that we can pull it off if the era has maximum length. A very, very slim chance. I cannot stress to you enough how slim the chance is. And the best way for us to increase that chance is by selling Diplo Favor to the AI, whereupon we can buy it back the next turn for basically nothing and try to get out a builder. Morbus, what you should do, all right, is just like during this process that I'm doing, zoom in on the money part of the screen and just watch it tick up one by one as the like Diplo Favor goes down, and like just make that zip past in a few seconds. There. We spent all of our Diplo Favor, and we can just about afford a builder now. And that will get us just a little bit more production, which will hopefully finish this Mahabodhi Temple right before the era ends, and we can just barely squeak in a golden age. And let me tell you, if we can squeak in that golden age, oh, beautiful, beautiful things will happen. There's our first lumber mill. That'll give us a boost towards mass production, which is fantastic. And we also finished researching iron working. That's excellent. I'm immediately thinking about what the next thing I want to research. Since we're relying heavily on lumber mills for production, we don't need to get apprenticeship as fast as we would normally get it. We can take a little bit of time to get stuff like celestial navigation and currency. Quick culture check. We're up to 26 culture on a single city compared to the AI's 19 culture on at least 4 cities. Oh, yes. This is the urn. The snowball hath begun it, and it rolls with ferocity down the hill. Oh, nice. We're up to 19 production. I wonder, are there more luxuries I could buy? Well, I could definitely buy all this Diplo Favor. Greece now values Diplo Favor, which means we can do a sneaky little sale of Diplo Favor to Greece for 24 gold per turn while siphoning it from all the other players. Ah, beautiful. So we're gonna pop in here, like, oh, you guys don't really care about Diplo Favor? Oh, thank you so much. And then I'll just be like, hey, Greece, I have all this Diplo Favor that I don't know where I got it. Oh, he doesn't value it anymore. Okay, never mind. Or it's okay. You don't need to buy the Diplo Favor. That's okay. I already got what I wanted from you, Greece. I got your 24 gold per turn. Oh, I forgot to place the aqueduct. Whoops. I think I reloaded. Did I? I don't remember. I might have reloaded back before when I was meant to place it because of the saves coming to get the Feed the World religion. Listen, I'm all confused, okay? I'm just an old man. I'm washed up. Old man potato. Now, a fun option here with Pingala is to immediately go for grants. However, an even more fun option can be to take Magnus and go for the steward, so that when we plonk a city down, we can immediately use the builders to rapid style improve it using the power of chopping. I am going to put a single, well, no, I'm going to hold on to that envoy until, well, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to drop charismatic leader, plug in diplomatic league so I get the first envoy doubled when I send it to a city state, and then I'm going to pop over here, send an envoy to Johannesburg. That'll get me 2 envoys in there, plus I get the +1 production in my capital when it's building wonders buildings in districts. Very nice. Oh, Mahabodhi Temple. Now, if you don't know what the Mahabodhi Temple does, this is an S-tier wonder for religion and culture victories, because what it does is immediately gives you +2 diplomatic victory points. Also S tier for Diplo victory, by the way, and 2 apostles. Now, I used to not value this very much. However, it does so much work for you. First of all, it gives you era score like crazy so you can Dark Age. Second of all, those 2 apostles allow you to immediately evangelize, fully evangelize your religion, getting even more era score, nearly guaranteeing a golden age, which is particularly powerful, especially if you're going to be going for the thing that I'm going for, which allows you to turn faith into a gigantic empire. Now, I'm going to get started on building an aqueduct. For the Khmer, aqueducts give you +1 faith per population, so we'll just build that next. Now, I do have a decision to make here. Either I can wait 5 turns to evangelize my religion to get era score in the next era, or I could evangelize immediately and start to benefit. I think I'm going to tell my guys to sleep until the next era, and I want to save that era score for the next era. We've unlocked currency, which is fantastic. I will get to work on apprenticeship now as well, because I do want the extra production from mines. I'll put an envoy into Buenos Aires, because I also want the production, and I still have the card in that doubles my envoys, so we will end up with 2. Boom, knowledge of military engineering has advanced considerably, and the aqueduct is complete, and we are now churning out 35 faith per turn from this city. Now, to put that into perspective, oh, I don't have the religion thing. I can't check other people's faith per turn. It's really high. For a single city this early into the game, it's a really high number. So the next thing that we want to build is probably to get our theater square down. This is a culture victory after all, and so it is good to get theater squares so that we can get great writers and stuff like that. And now the time has come to make it Golden Age dedication. Oh my lord, monumentality goes hard. +2 movement for builders, may purchase civilian units with faith. Builders and settlers are 30% cheaper to build, to purchase with faith and gold. Let me tell you guys, we're about to pop off. We're about to pop right off. We have our very first World Congress session here as well, and typically you can use the resource window here to predict what the AI are likely to vote against. Currently my guess is ivory, so that's what I'm going to target. I'm going to vote against ivory, and then it would be nice if units were cheaper to produce with production. So I'll distribute my points between those 2 things. Those are usually the kind of things that the AI does. It is possible for a different one to be selected depending on what the AI knows and who they like and who they don't. It does look like that they decided that cotton would be targeted, so it looks like I'm quite surprised by that outcome, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's because everyone was like, well, I don't have cotton and these 2 guys have cotton, or one of these characters has really bad relationships with the other players. I don't exactly know how to predict how the AI will vote, but typically the AI will vote for the resource of someone they hate or the resource owned by the most rivals, if that makes sense. And in this case, cotton was the target for everyone except for Sumeria and Poundmaker. Olives could have been the choice. However, the fact that he has 2 copies of cotton hurts his economy more than the other one. Nice. There's +2 era score for feudalism. We are in the new era, so it is time to evangelize our beliefs. I will double evangelize, selecting our new beliefs. World Church, scaling off of our followers would be amazing. We are going to have a lot of followers. Alternatively, getting pilgrimage would be great for our faith income, particularly if we went pilgrimage plus religious colonization. That would mean every time we settled a city, it would start with our religion and thus start immediately producing +2 faith for us to continue to spread our religion. World Church is another fantastic choice because it'll give us +1 culture for every 4 followers of the religion. And if we combine that with something like Holy Order, we'll be able to spread our religion incredibly effectively as well, gaining a massive amount of culture. Pilgrimage kind of front loads the benefits of our religion, which I quite like. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that. And then I think that just naturally has a really good combo with religious colonization. So if I combine the 2 of them, that's +4 era score for evangelizing our religion, which sets us on a good path to getting the next Golden Age. We also managed to get feudalism on this turn, meaning that we can swap out Corvée, slap in serfdom, and get much more effective builders. Now, something I need to do is to come down here and build a government plaza. And I also need to plan where my cities are going to go. Now, I could put the government plaza on this tile right here, which would open me up to similarly amazing holy sites when I settled this city. And it is a genuine question of, do we want to settle on this amazing tile and aqueduct to the river? Which I think this is a good move. If I hold down control, you can see this is the area that this would claim. And then this city would just have an amazing time working all this culture and gold. So yeah, I do like that plan. I'm going to immediately start getting the government plaza. And I'm going to faith purchase a builder. And my hope here with faith purchasing a builder is that I will be able to get the thing that gives you free builders after you settle a city. Because I'm not going to have I don't need the amenities and housing from the other I can't remember what it's called. It's like Ancient Throne, whatever. Let's pick up military training because we want that envoy. And I'll also pick up naval tradition because I want that envoy as well. Let's get the farm up here because we want to massively grow the population in here. Remember, we have the Prasat as well as the aqueduct, which gears this city towards massive population growth as long, or rather, massive yields from population. So I'll go ahead and buy a settler and then move that out to get into position. Then I'm going to come in here and build myself another builder to send up to improve this cattle. I think 2 builders, settler builder, settler builder, settler builder, I think is a good cadence for this phase of the game. There's military training. We don't need to change anything just yet. I am going to go ahead and switch my government now to Classical Republic, and I will plug in urban planning so that we can get that small amount of production in our cities. I'm going to take the suzerainty of Johannesburg because that's going to give +1 production for every improved resource type, which will eventually become +2 production. I actually don't know how this works. Give me a moment to look it up. Okay, I believe I understand how the bonus works now. So for every improved resource type, that means wheat, iron, rice, cattle, tobacco, all of those are an individual resource type. I will get +1 production from Johannesburg, +2 after industrialization. Now, I won't get 2 because I have 2 wheat. I'll only get it for having 1 of them. So it's good if you have, like, for example, 2 cattle. If you have another city nearby that doesn't get that cattle, for optimization reasons, it would be good to swap. Now, I really like picking up Johannesburg here. If you take a look at the city's production, it's producing 21 per turn. So if I implement Johannesburg, I take the suzerainty, +2 era score, I come in here and I refresh the city's production. It's now up to 25. So that was worth 4 production, which tracks because we have 1, 2, 3, 4 improved resources: silk, wheat, iron, and deer. And that's going to go up now because we're about to improve plantations as well as a pasture, which should lead us to now get up to a very healthy 28 production, which is massive. I'm also going to pop in here and buy myself another settler, so we can start to plan another settlement over here on the left. So if I open up this menu, the settlement screen, and hold down control, we can kind of see where some cities could belong over here. Now, I could settle this city really close to the capital. I am tempted to settle it just a scooch away. You don't get the Johannesburg bonus for resources that you settled on. They have to be improved with an improvement. I think we're going to have a big population here, so I think settling at least a tile away from our capital does make sense. And the real question is, where do we want to put our stuff to optimize our yields? So I either want an aqueduct or a holy site adjacent to these 2 farms, because that's going to be a big boost. And I reckon the sheer amount of food here, like, that would be a nice aqueduct right there. Now that means the city either has to be here or here, because you cannot, I think if I press G, you'll get the grid here. You cannot settle a city here and then place an aqueduct immediately across. The aqueduct has to be able to cross a line from the city and then connect to the edge of a river that it did not cross if you're settling across a river. So that means I could settle here, I could settle here, 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 because in all of those situations, the aqueduct would not actually cross the river and then have to double back on itself. The aqueduct cannot double back on itself, but if I were to settle here, I could put an aqueduct on this side because the aqueduct would go across and then connect to these 2 edges of the river. So it's only connecting here and here. I wouldn't actually be able to place this because it would not be valid, right? This would not be valid, but if I move my city center here, it's now valid. There's important placement mechanic rules for aqueducts to keep in mind. So sort of thinking about this, I definitely want my farms on this tile, and I should probably turn those into bare minimum farm triangles. What's more important to me, food or faith? And I think it's the food. So that means I'm going to settle, 0 overlap between this city and the capital is kind of scary, because it just means your city's very isolated. And so I always liked it to be a small bit of overlap. I do think an aqueduct here could be fine, because we could completely surround it with farms with the exception of this pasture, which would get me an absurd amount of food in this area. So I think that's what we're going to go for. We'll do a configuration that looks like this. This way there's a small bit of overlap with the capital, a small bit of overlap with this city, but not too much to the point of it being sort of like crammed and cramped. We got +1 era score for completing apprenticeship, which is also going to improve our mine improvements. I'll move this settler down to the city that I just planned. Once we finish the theater square, the audience chamber would be really nice, right? +2 amenities and +4 housing in cities with governors. But I'm going to go with the ancestral hall because the free builder is crazy. I also want to get stirrups so that my pastors provide +1 food. That's a really nice bonus. And I will also take grants on Pingala to maximize the amount of great people points that I'm producing. Let's get another builder in the capital. Boppity boop. We're also going to come in here, tell my population to focus on faith production, and I'm going to faith purchase the Gurdwara. What this will allow me is to work the specialist holy site tile for +9 faith per turn, basically doubling the faith output of this holy site based on its adjacency, right? So we're up to 61 faith per turn. That's going to have massive return on investment in terms of faith. And then I want the city to focus on food and production. Let me go ahead and lock in a few of these tiles, in particular the tiles with production on them. Nice, +3 era score coming from the theater square because it had a high adjacency. That's a beautiful thing. I have a very small amount of cash needed to buy this lumber mill tile, and I will, therefore getting myself another productive tile. and then I'll send a builder down to improve this city that I'm about to settle. I do want to wait the 4 turns for Ancestral Hall to complete, however. I think that is a lot more efficient if I wait. It is riskier, but I am willing to risk it in the name of efficiency. Let's faith purchase another settler that we can send out. Need to have a little bit of a think about where he's going to go. I don't necessarily want to settle near this desert, nor do I want to settle up in this coastal area. This area over here looks reasonably fertile, so let's see what we can do with this settler. So if I'm settling here, I can't settle on any of the tiles that are highlighted at the moment. So what I need to do is have a little bit of a think about where over here would be a good place for an aqueduct. Well, a good way to do this is to do a little bit of a search for hill. And you can see there's no hills near the river, so it's kind of a dealer's choice, really, about how we want to do this. I reckon if I were to settle on this tile, if I were to aqueduct to this tile and put my holy site here, or perhaps here, maybe I'll swap the holy site and the aqueduct. I could surround this whole thing with farms to go super mega crazy on food in here, getting the food adjacency from the farm in Bologna, because you can work off other people's adjacency bonuses. So I like this as a conception for this city. Just massively focus on growth. Get those huge yields going. One more turn and we get the coveted Ancestral Hall, which means we can actually plonk these cities down where they belong. We finished Naval Tradition, which got us another envoy. We can start thinking about what other Susan cheese might be important to us. I definitely feel like Cinguetti and Johannesburg are important. So that means I'm going to hold on to those envoys. I'm going to use my gold right now to buy myself a trader, because this trade route is going to absolutely explode the amount of faith we're making. I'll pick up Medieval Fairs for a governor title, and then the settler that's going to be settled near Paititi, I'll get that one down quickly. That'll get us +3 era score. I also need to think about researching military engineering so that I can get the Domri. However, that will reveal Niter, making construction of my empire a little bit more awkward. I'm going to immediately go for the aqueduct here, and then I'll buy the holy site tile. I think what I need to do is to chop out the holy site so that I can get growing in here. And then once I finish the holy site, I'll be able to get the aqueduct to really pop this city off. Now, in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab Magnus. I'm going to put Magnus in charge of Angkor Wat. And the reason that I'm doing that is because I want to make use of Magnus's plus 50% yields from plot harvests and feature removals. But I also want to make use of his surplus logistics ability here. That will allow me to, when I chop jungle, to grow the city, or if I chop certain resources, the city will grow to a high population really quickly. Now, Ancestral Hall is complete. Let's go ahead and grab those monuments. We can't afford to delay our monuments playing as the Khmer. It still isn't amazing. It's not like efficient to do it, but we can afford to. We can get away with it. And Civilization is often a game, as is any strategy game, of what can you get away with without being punished. I'm going to queue up an amphitheater in Angkor Thom as well, because there is some potential here. If I go to the Great Person screen, I look at the previously recruited great writers, I could buy some great works of writing off other players, thus starting my tourism train a little bit early. Let's go ahead and settle this second city as well. This city I'm going to try to avoid chopping stuff. I will place the aqueduct here, but I won't place the holy site. Well, I'm actually going to break the marsh right now, and this will give me fast pop growth in here. I'll tell you to focus on food and production, and then I'll place the holy site on the tile that I just chopped. And similarly, I'm going to work on the holy site first. We'll go ahead and improve that pasture. It's going to make that tile a lot more valuable. But yeah, it's absolutely insane that Angkor Thom is making so much. Ooh, actually in here, I need to build the aqueduct first, because if I don't build the aqueduct first, I won't be able to grow this city very effectively. I'm going to put a farm here on the rice, because that's going to become an incredibly good food tile, as well as giving me +1 era score from being a tile that was enriched by a natural disaster. Now, thinking about how these cities are going to cooperate with each other, there is a place where they overlap in an interesting way, which is this tile right here, which means if I wanted to maximize the amount of culture that I make from these cities, I could put an entertainment complex here and use that as a jumping off point for another city down here to the southeast, where these can all sort of make use of the adjacency bonus that theater squares get from entertainment complexes to get really high culture. This isn't exactly what I'm planning on doing, but this is kind of sort of something I am considering. Now, I really want to draw your attention to the sheer amount of faith that I'm making from this trade route with Cinguetti. This looks like a relatively safe trade route as well, which is why I'm going to go ahead and take it. But 12, I think it was 12 or 13 faith per turn is a huge amount of faith. Let's improve the cattle in Haralaya, because remember, this city will get production from resources that get improved nearby. Awesome. We've unlocked the mathematics technology, which will give us access to the diplomatic quarter. The diplomatic quarter will allow us to generate more envoys, first by placing it next to one of our city centers and finishing it. That'll get us a free envoy. As well, by building the consulate, we'll get +2 influence points per turn, which will lead us to getting more envoys over time. As it currently stands, if we pop up here, you can see that we're generating 3 influence per turn. So if we can build the consulate, that's like a 60% increase. It's a 2/3 increase at the rate of which we earn envoys that we put into these city-states that give us these really powerful bonuses. So you can probably tell that it's a good idea, which is why I'm going to pop into the capital city and immediately place a diplomatic quarter right here where that old lumber mill was supposed to go. And then I'm going to move it into the top of the cube, but then cancel it and then re-put it in the cube purely just to lock it in. That way its price won't increase as I research more technology. Let's go ahead and build a pasture here. That'll be +2 food and +1 production, or sorry, 2 food, 3 production tile, which is a fantastic tile. I'm going to tell the city to work on food and production primarily in the beginning. 1 more turn until Magnus is established and we can start the chop train to finish that aqueduct early. Coming in here, I'm going to emphasize this city to work the high food tile so that we can massively grow it extremely quickly. Faster we can grow, the faster we can work more tiles. I'm going to go ahead and purchase some luxury resources from the AI. I'm also going to look and see if anyone's selling. No one is selling Diplo Favor cheap. I'll see if anyone wants to buy my iron or my horses. I will sell those off because just having lots of gold on hand gives you a lot of flexibility. I'm going to come into Halaya and I'm going to purchase a settler and send it down here. Magnus is now established, so I feel safe chopping. That will instantly complete the aqueduct, giving us the housing that we need. I am just going to go ahead and refresh the city's yields. You can see it's got 6 housing now, which means when we chop this jungle, boom, we will instantly grow the population and there will be enough leftover food for it to grow next turn, massively scaling up the rate at which the city's population will increase. Then we'll get to work on the holy site so we can get the temple and the thing and shunt it along the tree effectively to being efficient. Now we did actually get stirrups now, which gives our pasture improvements +1 food, which is amazing. We're working on military engineering because we want the era score from building our unique unit, the Domri. Let's put a little plantation on the silk. That'll be perfect. And we'll put a mine on the tile next to Angkor Wat. The city doesn't need to generate a whole lot of food right now because it will get a lot of food when it finishes the holy site. And then I'm just going to move these builders around to do some chopping to push this city to higher levels. Really, the city just needs a little bit of a kickstart. It doesn't need me to chop out everything, but a kickstart is incredibly powerful. In particular because the city is working all of this insane culture in gold. All right, let's go ahead and buy that tile and then we will chop here. That will finish the holy site. That'll be a holy site with 3 or higher adjacency, getting us +3 era score, which is a beautiful thing. I'm also going to pop in here and get the shrine and the prasat, even over the monument and granary, because remember the prasat, basically my shrine, prasat and gurdwara are like a monument and granary combined times 1 billion. They're super powerful, super strong, and so that's why we want to just get them going as soon as possible. Get them online. Pericles is up to 62 culture, but I'm pretty sure I'll be able to eclipse him in the not too distant future because I'm playing so much more efficient than the AI. Let's grab civil service. This will give us access to the retainers military policy, which can be pretty useful when we're transitioning to a culture victory. We're probably going to transition into monarchy or theocracy. Probably theocracy due to this +0.5 faith per citizen in cities with governors, but it is entirely valid to stick to monarchy for a little bit of time because of that 50% influence point boost, as well as the +2 diplomatic favor from Renaissance walls. But I will be staying in my government for a little while. I'm going to pick up civil service and then head up to mercenaries for the envoy. Okay, awesome. The diplomatic quarter is finished in Angkor Thom, getting us a free envoy. Let's grab the consulate. I'm going to fight for Buenos Aires so that our bonus resources will behave like luxury resources, giving us a bunch of extra amenities in our empire. So if I pop into the capital now and refresh it, you can see we're up to 4 amenities in here, which is fantastic. The shrine has been completed in Angkor Wat. I'm going to build the prasat because I want that insane food and faith. God, look at that. That's crazy. 3 food, 8 faith, and 0.5 culture per pop. I'm going to faith purchase a builder in this town, but I don't think there's any more reasonable chopping I could do here. I guess I could do one more like forest chop over here if I really wanted to. It doesn't seem worth it to me. So I'm going to grab Magnus and I'm going to reassign him to this city over here on the left when I settle it. Now, Greece is going to be upset at me because I'm settling within their range. This is a whole bunch of UI mods and stuff that I use. Maybe I should have turned them off for a sponsored video, but I didn't. So that's the situation we're living with. I'm going to take Magnus and reassign Magnus to the newly founded city. And this is to encourage me not to chop things until Magnus is established. I am willing to chop marshes because production isn't as important as optimizing for food. I'm going to tell these guys to focus on food and production, and then I'm going to manually lock in the strong tiles. Let's pop in here and we'll immediately place that aqueduct so that we can get it going. We will be waiting to chop these tiles until we have Magnus established, and similarly this tile But in the meantime, we can go around and build a few farms. I'm going to grab Liang now because she's going to be super useful. If I put her into Angkor Wat, she will allow me to purchase extremely efficient builders with my faith. I'm also going to put a farm on this tile because it just improves it from being a 2-food tile or from a 1-food tile to a 2-food tile, which will just kind of give it a small little bit of a boost, making it a more attractive tile to work for this city. Food, when you're playing the Khmer, is practically everything. We've unlocked military engineering, getting access to the Domri. I'm going to go ahead and see. I found a piece of niter over here. That's actually really good because I can replace this with a mine now. Niter naturally fertilizes the tile as well. We also found some niter on this desert, which turns basically a dead tile into a usable tile, although I was kind of hoping to put a district there. So now I'm going to have to put it over here on this right side, although technically over on this right side, it is worth more culture. Tech-wise, I think our next step is to make our way through machinery into printing because we want the tourism yields from Great Works of Writing to be doubled. And now I think it's going to be time that I purchase the first Great Works that I can. I'll pop in here and you can see he's willing to part with this for 241 gold and he's willing to part with it for 242 gold. So I've now just managed to grab 2 Great Works of Writing into my amphitheater, generating me 4 tourism per turn, which is slowly but surely accumulating me a very small amount of tourism to beat the AI. This is a modded tourism screen that I just use. It's called Sucretax Tourism Overview. There'll be a link to the mods. Go check out the sponsored link, check out the mods, all that jazz. I just think this tourism screen gives you a much better overview than the default screen, so I'm a big fan of it. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and plant a settler right here. That's going to be +1 era score. That will give us progress towards Reformed Church. Reformed Church is having 6 cities to follow your religion. Now remember, we have religious colonization, so every time you found a city, it counts as it starts with our majority religion, which is incredibly, incredibly valuable. Now, Lingapura, I kind of just placed the city without really having a think about what I wanted to do with the city long term. I think this classic case could be done something like this, gaining a very, very large amount of food from this whole sort of triangle. Alternatively, I could place the holy site here and get a slightly easier adjacency on it. I think I prefer this. This is a little bit cuter. It's a little bit nicer. Now, that's Lingapura. So that does leave space for me to put another city down here to the south. And I'm thinking settling on the bananas has a lot of appeal to me because I could put the aqueduct right here to give the aqueduct bonus to the farms that aren't otherwise adjacent to a holy site, which means I could move this holy site back a tile. And then if I put a holy site over here, I'm spreading that bonus even more, just making a huge faith and food zone. And I really like this as a plan and as a play. So I'm going to pop into Angkor Wat, buy that settler and immediately send it to the south. We shouldn't have any loyalty issues. We're playing Khmer here, so we just will have massive population. Lingapura, I'm going to tell you to focus on food and production, and I'm going to bias you towards food. Let's get started on your aqueduct. I will quickly purchase the holy site tile. The holy site gives you a lot of baseline border expansion, so I will get that first. Now the AI is threatening me for settling too close to them. I'm telling them to essentially get stuffed. So I'm going to declare friendships with everyone on this turn and then declare mutual open borders with the idea of getting really good diplomacy with them so I don't have to build a military to defend myself, effectively using my diplomatic department as a replacement for having a strong military. Because the more resources I can put into my economy, the more resources my economy will output. We get a consulate in Angkor Thom. I don't need the granary, but I could get it. I'm trying to think about things that would give me era score. I could get a pretty gnarly Colosseum here. If I go to the lens map mode here and I look at city overlap, it would have been so nice to put a theater square right there if I was doing like entertainment square. I do still need to build a Petra in Angkor Wat, so I'll queue that up after the Prasat. Also, it would be good if I built the Angkor Wat itself. I think the Colosseum is the classic culture victory kind of wonder because it's extremely powerful in a lot of ways. And the entertainment complex would give me the amenities that I need to maintain a practically untouchable empire from a resource standpoint. And I think if we're building it from that viewpoint and not really caring about the overlap, the fact that it would only hit 3 cities isn't that bad of a deal because it's still 6 culture and 6 amenities. And we might get more benefit if we do decide to settle some gold cities on the coast here whose purpose will be to use the water. So let me tell you, I'm going to go ahead and build a entertainment complex over here. Let's see if we can make a play for the Colosseum. One more turn until Magnus is established here. I will buy the builder from this city because buying it from Anchor 1 does not yet give me the benefit of an extra build charge, and it would take them a long time to walk from there. Let's put a mine right there on that niter. That will boost rifling and give me access to niter that I can sell to the AI. I'll open up the quick deals mod interface and sell off my bonus resources to not Greece. I don't want to sell my luxuries to Greece because that would give Greece an opportunity to generate more culture. What I really want to do is lower Greece's culture. In particular, if I'm ever buying great works, I want to try to buy from Greece before I buy from anyone else. Pop a little farm there in Lingapura. +2 era score from Anchor Thom, reaching a population of 15. Urbanization has advanced. Urbanization is the technology that is boosted by getting to 15 population, so quite powerful there. Magnus is now officially established, so I can go ahead and chop, and then use the overflow. I messed up. I meant to chop this holy site tile. Wait, I have a builder. 13 turns for a holy site chop. 1 turn for a holy site. Perfect. So we just got an aqueduct and a holy site on the same turn here by waiting and chopping. If you have not been convinced about the power of chopping yet, I ask you, what more proof do you require? What more could I possibly do to convince you of the power of chopping and aqueducts and stuff? So if I settle here, the closest I can settle is right there or here. I do like the idea of settling on this tile and then putting an aqueduct on this tile right here, because I can surround this in farms that will get benefited from the aqueduct. 1, 2, 3. If only the city could reach this tile, this would be an absolute god tier Kamai holy site. So I'm thinking I might move the city up 1 tile and move the aqueduct up 1 tile as well. It's worse, but not crushingly so. Yeah, I think this has potential. The aqueduct here getting a bunch of food. The holy site over here getting a bunch of food and faith. I'm loving the way that the Kamai play the game. It's a very unique playstyle. I am going to go ahead and faith purchase myself a builder here. Next turn, I'll faith purchase a settler to get this city going too. I also need to think about, do I want to settle a city over here? I might use a builder to explore this area because I don't know if it's worth it for me to try to cram a city in here. Then again, really good holy site right there. I could settle, the city here. I can aqueduct to this tile. There's possibly a city here. You always want to settle a lot of cities, in my opinion. My estimation. Holy site completed in Yasodharapura. I'm going to buy myself another builder and immediately get to work on the shrine. Now I need to start thinking about how to get more era score. So one way I can get era score is by buying a swordsman. We've got 11 to 31 turns for the next era, and it does look like it could be an early trigger. I don't see anyone heading into Renaissance techs or civics yet, so it might not be an early trigger on the era. I think we might actually be okay. I will put a mine here because I'm required to. I cannot put anything else there. We'll move this guy over here. Oh, you can't move this turn. Sorry. I thought I had bought you last turn. That was a different builder. Right, let's go ahead and put a mine right there. That's 1 food, 3 production. Excellent. And the Prasat will be finishing soon. Awesome. So let's go ahead and grab guilds. That'll be +1 governor title. Let's harvest the marsh in Yasu. I don't know how to say the city's name, but basically we're going to harvest the marsh because it's going to increase the population and basically trigger a double pop. Triggle isn't a word. Now, I'm thinking about where it would be nice to put Magnus next. I think Lingapura could make use of Magnus. There are at least 2 chops here that could be of great value. So I think I want to avoid doing anything else from a resource improvement perspective. I'll build a mine because production is king, you know what I mean? The question is, do I move Magnus now or later? I think I'll chop this forest and then move Magnus. Let's harvest the banana so we can put a farm down there. I think 100% production towards holy site buildings would be cash money for me, so I'm going to prioritize that. Otherwise, I don't really care. Okay, great. Yeah, religious city-states. Awesome. Industrial city-states got boosted, and we do have extra production towards buildings in holy sites, which will be a huge advantage to me. I admit to actually chop that forest there too. I'll chop here. That will allow me to basically 2 turn a Prasat in an 8 pop city. Our culture is up to 87 per turn. We got our entertainment complex in Anchor Thom. Let's go ahead and get that arena. The arena is a prerequisite for the Colosseum, so we need to get it. With the Prasat completed in Yasodharapura, the food surplus is insane in here, which means we can faith purchase the Gurdwara if we wanted to, or just hard build it, which I think is what we're going to do, and then step in here and chop it to instant finish it, which means I can come into the city and tell my pops to go boom, 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 work that. Now we're making 40 faith per turn from this city, which is insane. It's an insane amount of faith. We already have a fully built aqueduct. Let's go ahead and grab Magnus. I'm going to reassign him to Lingapura. We have a fully built holy site with an aqueduct and a ton of tiles improved. Let's get started on the city's theater square. I'll replace you with an entertainment complex. We can get a really nice culture line going on over here. And this theater square will get worked on slowly, and it'll basically just peck us away with a little bit of tourism. I'll pop into Angkor Wat, and I will go ahead and buy myself another settler for this city right here. Oh no, we got blocked. Well, we could settle one tile to the left, which I don't love, but it is doable. It still works fine. I don't like it as much. It's not my favorite. Okay, I have a pretty comprehensive overview of this mountain range. I don't know if it's worth it to build this city, but it is worth it to build this city for the potential of national parks in this area. And so for that reason alone, I am going to build this city. And then for a similar reason, I might look to these coastal tiles to drop some cities on there. There's machinery. We're now working on printing, which will give us double tourism from our great works of writing. It's an important part of your early game tourism plans. There is something majestic and magical about looking at the faith yield just go up and up every turn. So I'm going to go ahead and found a city right here. This will anger my neighbors. We'll get +2 era score because we are technically settling on a different continent right now. But the loyalty is terrible. So that means I'm going to grab Magnus. I'm going to pop him into this newly, freshly created city. I will go ahead and faith buy a builder in Angkor Wat to send down to help this city out. And we'll see what we can do from there. All right, let's get started with the aqueduct. I think that's a pretty reasonable thing to do. Oh, we found the Dead Sea. That's going to be worth a little bit of era score. Very nice. I have a bunch of people on just like auto explore. I need a very small amount of era score. Additional grievances. Okay. I need a very small amount of era score, 5 in total, to guarantee another golden age. Now, I don't think it's particularly worth it to buy tiles when you're playing as the Khmer. There are much better uses for your gold. Once your cities actually have the basic infrastructure stuff, right? It might be worth it to buy tiles early game for certain niche situations, but generally, once they have their infrastructure going, you want to let that culture just take care of itself. So there's guilds that will give us access to, I think it's the, we don't want to change any of that just yet. No, it's, where's the retainers is at civil service. This gives us a governor title. A really good one for us to pick up could be Moksha to give us +2 faith from districts. I think I'm going to grab Amani because she will allow me to secure my suzerainty of important city-states like Chinguetti. It's worth +2 envoys. It's not an earth-shattering amount of envoys, but it is reasonable. I'm going to go ahead and get started on a chancery. I would actually like to see if Sumeria would like an alliance with me. And Sumeria is particularly good at military alliances, so I'll go ahead and grab that off him first. That will boost diplomatic service, meaning I get it in 5 turns instead of 8. With the arena completed, I can come down here, buy this tile to get started on the Colosseum. Boom, and in 9 turns from now, I'll get an extra 6 culture and 6 amenities, which is really nice. I do need to do a purchase check on Gandhi's Great Works. Sorry, not Gandhi. Oh, it should have been Pericles. Darn. What I need to be doing is selling my luxuries and buying... What was it again? Luxuries. I need to buy luxuries. Boom, boom, boom. So that we can get 6 out of cities to be ecstatic. This is another UI mod that I use that just shows the status of your cities. When your cities are ecstatic, you get like 30% growth in this city. I'm getting 20% in here. I'm getting 29.7% growth. It's crazy. I'm getting 20% production in here. It is just insane. Like my culture is at 104. The acceleration of my empire in the last few turns is insane. I think in the last 30 turns, my empire just went burp. Like the second we hit that golden age, my empire just started churning. We completed the aqueduct in Haralaya. So I'm going to get started on the Shrine, Gurdwara, and Prasat. Although not necessarily in that order, because they have to be built in a specific order, and I did not name them in the specific order that they need to be built. Let's settle another city here. The Kree are going to be upset that we're settling these cities, but I think in the immortal words of me, the Mao get wrecked nerd. All right, I'm trying to see if it's worth it for me to build a city up here in the north. Yeah, I think there is, because if I settle right here, I can place a harbor for a trade route. I could put an aqueduct to the left, and then around that aqueduct, we can put a bunch of farms in the bow tie formation, which means all of them are getting +1 bonus from being adjacent to 2 farms, and the center one is getting +2 from being adjacent to 4 farms. And I can place the holy site right here, which is, oh, it's not adjacent to a river. That changes the plan slightly, in that the holy site will have to go over here to the left, and we will place a bunch of farms like so. I gotta say, the pin stuff, being able to plan your empire using pins is just like a really satisfying and fun way to play. I'm gonna step this guy down to chop this tile. Now that Magnus is established, that will chop the aqueduct. Then I'm gonna buy the tile with the holy site so that we can pre-chop the holy site to completion. The holy site is 15 turns from finishing. We chop once, boom. And using the overflow, it'll now be done in 2 turns. So basically completing infrastructure that would normally take 10, 20, 30 turns in 2. which is insane, I might add. That's how powerful chopping is. It's crazy good. How are you not chopping yet? Let's go ahead and get our shrine. We need that food. We need that faith. It needs to grow. I'll buy a settler from my smaller cities because it's harder to grow pops in high pop cities. I'll move you over there. I'll move you up here. We've got settlers lined up here. We don't have settlers for this weirdness. I am tempted to settle a city right here purely for the fact that it would be a canal. No other strategic value to that other than I just like the idea of making a canal. Let's chop this rainforest to instantly finish the holy site, and then we'll overflow produce into the shrine and then start looking to improve all these tiles in here and even steal some of them to get the production out of them. So it looks like somebody stole one of the suzerainties from me. We did pick up diplomatic service, which wasn't a thing from a new era. I lost suzerainty of CHUNGUS, but then I got it back, which is perfect. Let's make the switch into monarchy now, or rather, I'm going to make the switch directly into theocracy. That 15% discount on purchases with faith could be crazy. It could go crazy hard. I'll build the Gurdwara in Haralaya. We want the food, faith, and the ability to work specialists in the district. We get the Prasat in Vimayapura. Harvest this resource. I need to get builders down from Angkor Wat. I need to kind of chain purchase builders out of there. So we have divine right. We can switch to monarchy. Boom. Make sure that we keep Republican legacy. We'll also plug in retainers. The +1 production from urban planning isn't as important as it used to be. For now, we'll just keep things going easily. We have 10 turns to get 1 era score. I can always just buy a unit towards the end of the era to make sure that we hit that milestone. We completed the shrine in Lingapura. Let's get the Prasat. Constantly should be buying these builders. 3 turns until we get the Petra and the Colosseum. We get the double-barreled victory here. I'm going to chop out the Prasat, which will allow me to overflow into the Gurdwara. Now remember, we're getting 100% production towards holy site building, so we're building these holy site buildings extremely efficiently. And let me tell you, it feels amazing. The Prasat is completed in Lingapura because I did a chop here. I'm going to go ahead and get work on the Gurdwara. I will chop the Gurdwara and overflow into a theater square. Just get those great people points cranking early. But now I think it's time to take Magnus out of the city. I'm going to apply him to Indrapura. Could also put it into Lingapura, but Lingapura is basically done from a production standpoint. It's got all of its basic infrastructure going, so it doesn't really need help, so to speak. Oh my lord, here is the Petra. +2 food, +2 gold, +1 production on all desert tiles for this city. Here it is. Reformed Church on top of the Giga Petra. I do need to put a tile improvement there. But man, this empire, just like the yields when you play the Khmer are just insane. We're up to 128 culture, 133 if you go by my actual system analysis. It says 127 instead now. 127.9 to be clear. Let's go ahead and switch to theocracy. We want theocracy for that 0.5 faith per citizen in cities with governors. It's a lot of faith for us, and the 15% discount on purchases with faith is really nice too. I'm going to move scripture up here, and I will make sure to plug in Republican legacy. Now remember, scripture is also worth food to us. So it's 20 faith, but also 20 food. I will put a theater square over here. We are going to need to get those theater squares up sometime soon so that we can start building those archaeological museums and hopefully do something really interesting with our faith in the mid game. Okay, awesome. The Gurdwara is completed in Haralaya. I'm going to go ahead and lock in the holy site faith. See if we can't sell off our strategic resources for a little bit of cash. Let's grab the theater square in Haralaya. Yeah, I'm not even building monuments, watermills, and granaries because they're just, I don't need them. Not when you're playing the Khmer. They're still good, and I will get around to getting them, but I have far more important things to build, like my amphitheater, so I can buy great works off Greece. I'm so glad that I reloaded. All right, nice. There's the Colosseum. That's going to be +2 culture per city in range and +2 amenities to every city in range, which is going to help keep us that really ecstatic level for our entire empire. Okay, culture, loyalty, and amenities to each city set up into 6 tiles. That's a beautiful thing right there. Now, what else do I want to build in my capital? Well, we don't need the housing from a granary right now, but it would be nice for us to build the chancery for the +3 influence points per turn. We're currently making 7 influence per turn, so this would be about a 50%-ish, slightly less than a 50% increase in our current influence rate. So I will go ahead and build a chancery. It's a great investment in terms of production for the long term. Now, an investment that you might not actually think of as being an investment right now is for me to, once I finish printing, I'm going to look to research towards cartography at some point in the near future. So I'm going to invest in purchasing some galleys over here on the right with the view of the second that I have caravels, I can shoot these guys off to go explore the world. Let's go ahead and settle this city right here. I'm going to move you down a tile. This city will never be particularly competent, so I'm just going to go watermill granary monument in here. And it really exists to kind of capture the value of the possible national parks. Like there's a national park potential right here. There's one right here. Like if I go to this, like that's a national park. That's a national park. This could be a national park, but I'd rather have the... Yeah, I think I would rather have this. I think I can get the city to 10 population. Remember, every single one of these holy sites is worth 10 tourism per turn once I have flight, so it is extremely valuable. Plus one era score from the researching, I think, from the Renaissance era. There's printing. So we're going to go ahead and go to cartography. And the reason that we need cartography is because we need to find the other players in the game. Remember, you cannot generate tourism against a player you have not met. There are 1, 2, 3 players in this game that we have not met, which means our tourism is we're just over half our potential tourism per turn. So we need to find these guys. God, I love playing the Khmer. It's such a fun civilization. I'm going to chop this woods here to speed up that watermill. I really love how crunchy Civ 6 is. And what I mean by crunchy is like you press a button and an impactful thing happens. Like in a lot of the older Civ games, you like press a button and it's like, wait 6 turns for the unit to complete this action. But in Civ 6, it's like you press a button and something happens immediately. The shape of your empire is changed by each individual action in a really crunchy and satisfying way. That 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to steal a few of these tiles. If I press 9 here, yeah, that looks like a reasonable number of the tiles to steal from the capital. I don't like stealing tiles from my capital, but you do want to take a few in certain situations like this. This is a hill tile. I always chop hill tiles. I think it's worth it. The production boost is almost always worth it. I am going to get myself a Gurdwara in here.
There is nothing but the 4 characteristics of you.
Right, let's go ahead and research mercantilism. Mostly what we're looking to basically skyrocket towards now is natural history into conservation. So I'm going to stick to the top half here. The reason we want to go for mercantilism is because it leads to colonialism, which leads to natural history, which will get us access to the archaeologist. We're going to start building the archaeological museums in our cities. And our hope is that by the time we get to natural history, we will still have enough faith to buy all of our archaeologists using the monumentality golden age and then immediately shunt into conservation so that we can start getting tourism from the walls that we're also going to start producing. We're going to start researching the advanced wall text the second that we finished cartography, and our hope is to use the next session of Congress to potentially boost the construction of buildings in city centers so we can make those walls really quickly. The Gurdwara is completed in Angkor Wat. I'm going to go ahead and tell the city to lock in the holy site specialist because the city just has an absurd amount of surplus food, so it's totally fine for us to shunt that there. And we'll get to work on the amphitheater because we could use that to buy great works of writing from other players. Same logic here for Vimaya Pura. 1, 2, 3. Our faith is up to 352 per turn. I don't think I need to explain to you that that is an absolutely insane level of faith generation. Magnus is established now, so I can chop this, which will allow me to get the aqueduct. However, I need to wait until I have a builder in position over here. So instead, I'm going to use my overflow to get the granary monument and watermill. I kind of forgot to buy more builders, which was a bit of a mistake. It's not the end of the world. This is like a small, in-ideal situation. A bunch of luxuries are up for purchase, and so we shall purchase them. Any strategic buyers? Just a little bit to Greece. The Gurdwara is completed in Lingapura, and so again, we just lock in all the citizens working on those tiles because the sheer amount of food that is produced from here outweighs the sort of opportunity cost of not working tiles. We're up to 396 faith per turn now. It would also make sense for us to find more faith-based city-states if we could. Let's plonk down this city's theater square. I'll pop in here, I'll chop this out, that will finish that, and you can get to work on said holy site for me. All right, the world has entered the Renaissance era. We're going to go ahead and make a dedication to monumentality. We got another golden age, and the monumentality is going to be really key here because if we can skyrocket our way to natural history, we'll be able to purchase archaeologists using faith, using our insane faith economy to convert into tourism effectively. We got the Chancery in the capital, which is going to give us a huge boost to our envoy generation. I'll buy a settler up in this new city so I can go park it over there. We got the amphitheater in Angkor Wat, which means we can come and buy great works of writing from Greece. That's who we want to prioritize. Now he's going to charge us, really painful rates for those, but it is worth it. And the reason that it's worth it is twofold. First of all, I increase my culture and my tourism, meaning I'm better defended against culture victories. And by increasing my tourism, I'm attacking his culture faster. And by taking great works away from Greece, his culture is defending slower. Meaning that by buying great works from another player, you basically effectively double dip. Now, there is another player with a lot more domestic tourists, so we're going to have to attack them quite a bit. From a cultural standpoint, I think I'll go ahead and quickly grab a monument and then queue up an archaeological museum in here. I think that is the play. In Haralaya, we have the theatre square. Let's get the amphitheatre so we can buy more great works of writing. I could really use a little bit more cash on hand, but I don't think anyone really has much. We got the granary in Anchor Thom. Why did I build that again? It's because I wanted the +1 food, wasn't it, to try and skyrocket the city's population? I thought I had built something else. I feel like I'm misremembering here. We could build the Forbidden City if we wanted the extra wildcard policy slot. Building wonders is relatively efficient for the generation of tourism. And when I say relatively efficient, I mean it's not completely horrendously inefficient. It is actually a perfectly fine thing to do if you're building the right wonder for the right reasons. Like, for example, we could build Mont Saint Michel fairly quickly and it would generate a decent amount of tourism over the course of the game. Or I could go ahead and just get started on the archaeological museum. Right, I'm going to take suzerainty of Buenos Aires now to get that luxury benefit back. I forgot what I was doing because I got distracted. I am tempted to buy this holy site tile and then chop here to finish the granary and place that holy site. Oh, nice. The city reached 20 population. I may have had to reload this turn. I don't remember. It's been a day or two since I've played this save file. Listen, guys, it happens. We're going to research. Right. We were going to go for conservation. So I'm going to research. Do I want public works? I'm still in a golden age, so I can purchase builders with faith, which means I don't need civil engineering for public works. I can go straight for colonialism, natural history into conservation. I'm going to bring this galley back to Indrapura to become a caravel so it can explore the other continent for me and find the other players. Because remember, you can't generate tourism against someone you haven't met. And I need to start thinking about how I'm going to lay out my national parks. So I think making use of mountains in national parks as often as you can is a useful thing to do. Over here, we've got 2 mountains that we could include in national park if we put it here. National parks have to be in the shape of a diamond. In order to create a national park, all 4 of the tiles that are in the national park have to be owned by a single city within a range of... No, they just have to be owned by a single city and have to have an average appeal of charming or better. So I can build a national park right here once I have naturalists. With Lingapura, I'm going to pop over and I'm going to buy this mountain tile as soon as I have money. I need to sell some stuff. I sold a little bit of strategic resources there. So now that I've secured this tile, it'll take a while before they'll grow to here, whereas they were just about to grow to these mountains. So that's a national park secured. Another thing about national parks that's quite good is if you can have national parks adjacent to each other, there is some advantages to that because then they share adjacency on their forests. So for example, this area right here, because it's adjacent to somewhere I'm already making into a national park, this could make a really good national park as well. So I'm going to place 1, 2, 3, 4 pins in this diamond formation for this city. So that's 2 national parks made by naturalists. The appeal is a -2 on this tile. So let me think about where that appeal is coming from. There's some negative appeal coming from the rainforest. What I could do is I could turn this into a national park. And because it's adjacent to the holy site, 2 forests will actually give a holy site +1 adjacency. How do I show you this? I think if I go to the holy site and I click here, you can see that it gets +1 faith from every 2 adjacent woods, which would be equivalent, if I have the doubling of adjacency card, to building 2 farms adjacent. So I do quite like this as a decision. There was talk of putting a national park here, but the problem is I can't get it in range of a single city. No city is close enough for that. Up here in the north, there is potential for national parks. If I were to build a national park along this side and along this side, I could, for example, put a holy site right there and a preserve over on the north side. Important things to note, national parks scale based on the appeal of the tiles. Holy sites give appeal to adjacent tiles and they benefit from forests being on adjacent tiles. Preserves give appeal to adjacent tiles as well. So this would be a nice appeal area to do this on. This tile has -5 appeal. I could raise the appeal by 3 by destroying the marshes adjacent to it. I could raise it by 4 by placing woods adjacent to it, that would bring it up to +3, which possibly, I think that would be enough for a national park, which means I could fit another national park in here, like so, and then I could fit a national park into the capital on these tiles, assuming I can get the appeal of this tile up high enough, which I could probably do through forest planting. Okay, keep searching for possible national park tiles. So adjacent to national parks, you want to put lumber mills, because forests are on lumber mills, that will keep the appeal high. So all along around here, I think this is a floodplain, right? So we can't put a lumber mill there, yeah, but we can surround this in woods. I think there could be a national park kind of scooted in here. National parks are extremely efficient ways to generate tourism. So what if we were to plant a little bit of woods down and around here? Ooh, right, we've got a natural wonder here that we could place a national park on. We would have to kill the niter, which I'm fine with. So I will designate this right here as a national park as well. Natural wonders make great national parks. And then I will plant some lumber mills adjacent to it as well. Let's see, can I squeeze out another national park somewhere? This right here could probably be a national park. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 national parks planned. 10's a good number. Getting more than 10 would be a difficult process. I think I'm also going to settle on this hill right here. And the reason that I want to settle on the hill is so that I can build seaside resorts along this coastline later in the game. So I'll put a city right there, plus it'll make claiming these tiles for national parks a little bit easier. I don't want to build a city over here. I don't want to build anywhere to the south either. We could fit some national parks in and around here. So for example, a national park here, here, and here could fit comfortably in a city right here. I'm going to go ahead and recruit a settler in Indrapura and send them over to here so we can have a little bit of a think about exactly where we want to put this city to get a bunch of national parks. I think we might be able to squeeze in 3 national parks into the city if we play our cards right. And it's important to remember that national parks are very, very special. So let me go ahead and look up national parks here. They greatly enhance your tourism and amenities. They give you tourism output equal to the total appeal of all the tiles included in the park, and the city that owns the park receives 2 amenities, and the 4 closest cities in your civilization receive 1 amenity. Extremely powerful. I would go as far as to say as a few national parks, like a national park or 2 in every game, would not be completely unhinged for you to do. What we're going to do is we're going to start preparing tiles with builder actions. And I'm going to start pre-purchasing builders for this using Faith. I'll also start pre-chopping out my holy sites over here in Indrapura. Somebody built the statue of Zeus. Don't care. Didn't ask. I'll buy myself another builder in Angkor Wat for the purpose of doing that. You pop down there to explore slightly while we wait for cartography. Honestly, 2 caravels is plenty. You could probably go to 3 if you really want to. We got the amphitheater in Yasoparapura, or whatever it's called. I don't know how to pronounce it. We're going to go ahead and look to buy great works of writing, ideally from Greece, no matter what the cost is. We need to take down his culture per turn. I will now build a monument to increase the culture of this city, and then we'll probably work on some other stuff after that. I will chop out the theater square in Lingapura so we can get started on the amphitheater in here. This is where we're going to be starting. We're sort of starting what I consider, if you were imagining your economy was like a car and tourism is speed, we're basically throttling the engine to prepare to put our foot against the ground. We're basically like, we've been warming up the engine, fueling it, greasing it, preparing it, and now we're going to like basically put our foot to the floor when it comes to tourism and start just accelerating. And the great thing is we've set up our car in a way that it's like frictionless, so it will just continue to accelerate as long as we hold down that pedal. I will go ahead and get to work on this. I will place the holy site because that will chop the marsh for me, increasing the appeal of the adjacent tiles. And then I will work on the monument in here to allow the city to grow the 2 other tiles a little easier. Let me pop in here and I'll chop you. Okay. Yeah, I'm sort of pre-preparing these tiles is my goal. So I'm pre-building builders in Liang City because there'll be 6 charges. Okay, we got the holy site in Indrapura. We're going to work on the shrine for the extra food. I'm going to harvest the stone, which will allow me to finish the amphitheater. I'll quickly finish the monument as well. When it comes to this builder over here, I'm just pre-preparing the land, so chop, 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 chop. Whether it's chopping or just breaking what already exists. We got the amphitheater in Hariharalaya. so we can get to work on the archaeological museum in Lingapura. Right, this guy has 1 build charge left, so I'm going to have him sit here, and he's going to wait until he can plant a forest here. It's slightly more efficient in terms of a tourism explosion if you save the last charge or 2 of your builder to build. If otherwise that builder was going to be used for some other purpose, it's better to save the builder, because that way you can plant the whole national park in a single turn rather than having to wait a few turns for them to come online. We do have castle tech now, which is one of the key buildings that we need. The medieval walls, that's going to be for tourism. We're not quite ready to build walls yet, but we will be soon. The real dream is hoping that we can pass a world vote to make building walls easier. I'm going to research natural history and go straight to conservation. My archaeological museum in Angkor Thom is completed. When it comes to tourism games, in my personal opinion, I do think that the intelligence agency is the best one, because the +1 spy capacity is useful for stealing money, provided the enemy has money. The other option is the Grand Master's Chapel allows you to respond to things militarily, and the Foreign Ministry makes it much easier to leverage city-states for gold. To spend gold to leverage city-states for era score is what I was trying to say there. I'm going to get started with the intelligence agency next, because I want that free spy. I'm going to send an extra envoy to Johannesburg to make sure that we maintain that suzerainty, and I think this would be a perfectly reasonable place to settle in order to get 3 national parks. All 3 of these national parks can fit inside the city that we're about to settle, and this city literally exists to create national parks for us. Anything beyond that is just not even worth considering. This pasture over here, I'm harvesting to make it easier for me to plant woods there. Now, I'm having a little bit of a gold crisis right now. Let me have a look at this deal. Okay, he wants to give me a great work. I will take that great work. Pericles will give me 37 gold per turn for all of my Diplo favor. I'm going to wait until the World Congress has met before I do that, though. Now, I did spend all of my gold when I kind of need some. Okay, we got unlucky. I'm going to vote for the Cree, because they're within trading range. It would make my trades that much better. And I'll say just melee units, I'll vote twice for that. I'm not going to spend too much on this, because I do want to sell my Diplo favor to Greece. Okay, some unmet player got it. Oh well. Let me sell off all this Diplo favor. 40 gold per turn. I'm going to take some up front, because I have these guys that I want to upgrade into caravels to explore. We got Margaret Cavendish as a great rider, which is fantastic. Indrapura has finished its shrine. I'm going to build a prasat so that I can increase the faith, food, culture and tourism of this city. Brilliant. The archaeological museum in Angkor Wat is completed, which means we're a step towards making a wave of archaeologists. So we have our city center, we have our holy site, we have our theater square, we have our aqueduct. These are all the basic things. I think building the archaeological museum will be key to getting our tourism up. I'm going to buy myself another builder to send up to the north. We have quite a few national parks that we're going to need to build, and a lot of builders will be needing to be into position for that task. Lovely. We have finished the granary in Angkor Wat. We have a theater square, we have an aqueduct, and we have a holy site. When it comes to tourism, there are a few different theories on how we could advance. One theory is that we could build the entertainment complex and move towards building things like the arena, because it does give us a little bit of tourism after conservation, and follow that up with things like the zoo for bonus amenities, and more importantly, follow that up with the stadium in the late game for the +2 tourism at 10 population and +5 if 20. It's kind of like a weaker version of our Prasat. Best way to think of the stadium is like, imagine if it's a wonder that you can build multiple times that gives you a small trickle of tourism. Pretty good. Another option is we need to build our commercial hubs so that we can increase our number of trade routes, so that we can trade with more players. Because of the late game, you get access to a card called Online Communities, which gives you a 50% tourism output to civilizations that you have a trade route with. And setting up for that in the long term is very, very powerful. I'm inclined to sort of agree with that assessment. And while it is nice to get a commercial hub with high adjacency, I think far more important is to just get a commercial hub for the trade route. So I think I'm going to plonk a commercial hub on this like pointless desert tile, because I'm never going to work that, right? It's an okay tile, but I'm never going to actually work it. Lingapura has completed the granary, and now I need to get to work on the archaeological museum. Although I am going to want, this is actually something I should have thought about. I am going to want at least 3 art museums, because that makes it easier to theme things. So I think getting 3 art museums allows you to sort of curate a little bit better, because I am going to start getting some artists. I'll need to factor that in to my game plan. Okay, there is enough gold to upgrade my caravel. I will send him auto-exploring next turn. Well, I say auto-exploring, looking for the other players in the game. We got the intelligence agency in Angkor Thom, which allows us to build a spy, or rather it gave us a spy, and now we can build a spy. We just finished researching natural history, which means because we're golden aging with the monumentality bonus that allows you to purchase civilian units with faith, We could spend 1,600 gold getting an archaeologist, or we can buy one for 680 faith. Now, to put that into perspective, normally an archaeologist costs 400 production. So we're getting a 400 production unit for like 600 faith, which is kind of insane. So I'm going to go through all of my cities, and where I can, I will start purchasing archaeologists to go plunder the world of their beautiful resources. Also, because the Kree fell into a dark age, it seems, yep, they're definitely in a dark age, and we have so much population in our cities, the loyalty pressure that we're exerting down here is phenomenal, and that's causing massive problems for them. Let me go ahead and have a look at my tourism screen. I have two archaeological museums at this current time. I am working on more. Like, it's taking me 21 turns to build an archaeological museum. Imagine how long it would take me to build an archaeologist as well. I'm going to take the curator promotion on Pingala to double the amount of base tourism that my great works produce. Or should I say based tourism. My spy, I'm going to go ahead and look and see who has commercial hubs. Nobody has commercial hubs, so the next best thing is to send them to city-states to siphon off their envoys. So I'll put this one into Bologna and start fabricating scandals in there. Margaret Cavendish is ready to create a great work of writing in the city of Harry-Laya. So I'm going to go ahead and click that and create some great works of writing, which will slightly increase my tourism per turn. Beautiful thing. Mega Colossal Eruption. Nobody asked. I'm going to move Margaret Cavendish over to this theater square to improve it as well. I'll move out my archaeologist from Angkor Wat, and then I'm going to buy myself a faith purchased builder because Lingapura actually does need a little bit more production. I have my caravel here. I have one caravel sailing directly to the other continent. This one I'm just going to auto explore with. We have immediately met the Netherlands. Hello, it's an honor to meet you. Would love to sample your hospitality. Very first thing you do when you meet a player is you get mutual open borders. When you're in the tourism game, that is. Mutual open borders, you try to declare a friendship. Doesn't matter if they accept it. You tried. Yeah, but we want open borders with every player in the game because open borders gives you a 25% tourism boost, which is perfect. Delicious, delicious, delicious tourism. So as it currently stands, we're making 75 tourism per turn. We're making 81 per tourism base, but we're slightly increasing that with a bunch of modifiers. Now, I have 5 envoys to play with, and I have met Ayutthaya. Ayutthaya could be a fun city-state to take control of. I have Diplomatic League plugged in. I should probably have changed that, but that's fine. And I definitely want to put maximum number of envoys in here to get to 6 if I can, without leaving myself exposed to lose suzerainties. Chinguetti is a very important one for me to maintain, so I'll go to 3 envoys with Ayutthaya and save 2 in the bank to be able to fight for my suzerainties here. Chinguetti is very, very important for my tourism, my faith throughout this game. Ayutthaya is a really nice city-state. It's not important, though. That's the key difference there. Some city-states are important and some are nice. And it is important that we know the difference. In Harry-Laya, I'm going to faith purchase a settler to send to settle this city. My archaeologist, Balarama, will go ahead and dig up this artifact. This is an ancient era artifact. I'm going to take one from Pericles first. Gilgamesh wants to reunite as friends. We should also probably reunite as allies if we can. So I'm going to establish a resident embassy in Gilgamesh, and I'm going to look for an ally. Now, I don't remember what kind of alliance we had. A cultural alliance wouldn't even bother me, really. I'm going to take a research alliance so that we can get a little bit of science from trading with him and from him trading with us. My commercial hub has been completed in Angkor Wat. I'm going to build a market so that I can get the +1 trade capacity. That trade capacity will be used to generate more tourism by trading with players internationally. Alright, little archaeologist, continue on your journey to grab up some more of these antiquity sites. We've met Seon-duk of Korea. I will try to establish a resident embassy because it's the first turn that we met them. I will try to establish a friendship. They often won't take it, but rarely you can sometimes get away with it. And I'm also going to take the open borders agreement because that naturally increases the amount of tourism that we get from hanging out with Korea. She might flip to friendly next turn, and so that might allow us to improve our relationship. There's siege tactics giving us access to Renaissance walls. That's another way that we can convert our production into tourism. See, anyone else willing to take friendships? Friendships are great because they prevent players from declaring war on you, which means you don't need a military and you can focus entirely on your economy. Now that we have Renaissance walls, the most important technology in the game for us to research is flight, and then the next most important technology for us to research is computers. We want to research flight because that allows us to gather tourism from improvements that provide culture. In addition, our unique building, the Prasat, generates tourism after flight. I'm 99% sure on that one. Just going to double check that. Yeah, once flight is researched, you receive 10 tourism if the city is 10 population or higher, and 20 if the city is 20 or higher. So I'm going to click on flight and then do an analysis of the techs that are needed for flight. I need military tactics, education, mass production, banking, astronomy, square rigging, industrialization, scientific theory, And all of that will lead to flight. So I'm trying to think of what is an optimal way to make my way through this. I think the most optimal way to do this is to start with the cheapest technologies first so that we can maximize our overflow, then focus on getting the technologies that are early in the tech tree that have been boosted, then focus on getting the technologies that are the cheapest again, then focusing on getting industrialization for coal and production bonuses, although arguably we could focus on that first to focus on the production bonus aspect, which is honestly a perfectly reasonable choice because that +1 production from mines could be useful, as well as access to coal. I have 4 envoys in the bank. I can spend 3 on Ayutthaya to get up to level 3, aka 6 envoys in here, which will give me +3 culture in my chancery and push me close to being the suzerain. I am going to hold an envoy in the bank to be able to defend my own suzerainties here though. Double checking city-state quests. Sending a trade route to Johannesburg is entirely possible, and building an encampment for Bologna is entirely possible. Triggering a Eureka for steam power shouldn't be too hard. If I remember correctly, it's to build 2 shipyards, although I don't really have coastal cities. So now that I'm thinking about it, it's actually quite a bit harder than I thought. I'm safe to build a mine on this tile because tiles adjacent to this one do not require high appeal for the national park. However, these 2 have to be lumber mills, so I'm going to go ahead and click in here, double click the lumber mill thing to remind myself that they need to be lumber mills. Oh, we found the Galapagos. That's nice. A little bit of era score. It would be absolutely god tier if I could get another golden age. This is a classical era. I have an ancient era from Pericles, so I'm going to take a classical era from Pericles as well. And we have finally met Canada, who's likely to be the competitive culture person. I'm getting low on amenities, so that means I probably need to go into this screen, open up the luxury resources, and trade with people for these. I shall buy as many luxuries as money I have for. And I'm also going to sell off my luxuries to anyone but Canada or Greece. In fact, Canada is public enemy number 1 because look at the amount of tourists he has. So I need to make sure that he can't generate any extra tourism. And in fact, I need to be buying all of his great works of writing should he have any. But I absolutely under no circumstances can I sell him amenities because that could potentially increase his culture. However, Korea is offering a really good deal, so I will sell to Korea. And I'm more than happy to sell Canada strategic resources because that does not increase their economy, it only hurts it. And similarly, I'm willing to sell Canada diplomatic favor because I'm hurting their economy by doing that because they can't really turn diplomatic favor into anything useful. Mista Wasis rebelled to me. I'm going to go ahead and keep that city, and I'm going to keep buying builders in here. Let's take a little bit of an analysis of this new city. It has a city center, it has a campus, it's lacking a holy site. It does have a copy of cotton as well as a copy of marble, both of which I should in theory be able to, well, I think I already sold them. There's not really room in here for anything tourism generating. So what might be good for me to do with the city is to generate other resources with it, namely faith. There are enough chops in here to make a Magnus visit to the city viable. So I'm going to move Magnus over here. Plus that will give me the loyalty that I need to keep the city under control. It's really important to remember that we get culture bombs with our holy sites. So if I put my holy site here on this tile, I will culture bomb this area. So we can culture bomb this area. And I also like the idea of placing an aqueduct here. Although that said, that aqueduct isn't particularly amazing. Far better in my opinion would be to place an aqueduct south of the river, like so, because I can actually put farms adjacent to it in a nice formation. And then my goal would be to surround this holy site with farms as well. Unless I really cared about the adjacency, in which case I could go for lumber mills, but I think the population growth is a little bit more important when you're playing the Khmer. So all of that said, the key thing that I need to work on right now is possibly a commercial hub in here. The unique thing about commercial hubs is that they affect your empire-wide tourism. So having cities that are new to your empire work on them basically allows you to be a multiplier on the rest of your empire's tourism, which is a rare and powerful ability that not many things are able to do. Let's grab our third and final artifact with this guy. This is an ancient era artifact. I already have one from Greece, so I will take one from Bologna. I'm going to preemptively remove the mine on this tile so that we can get started. Now, I'm worried about this tile right here going to the city of Ahmedabad. Oh no, 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's too far away. However, we could, in theory, we could move it up a tile and do it right there, and that's still valid. Just takes a little bit of reworking. Let's keep this city. There we go, +2 era score from stealing a city. We might be able to overpop this city too. This city has a entertainment complex, which is kind of interesting. So what I'm thinking is we could fit a very, very powerful array of farms in here with an aqueduct on that hill surrounded by farms, a holy site on the coast, also surrounded by farms, giving us a huge amount of food and faith in this city. I need to be constantly recruiting builders to be able to change these lands to the way we want them to be. To get started with this city, I'm going to go ahead and just go for the watermill, because that will boost all of these food resources with +1 food, as well as giving the city +1 base food and production. We got the market in Angkor Wat. I'm going to very quickly build a builder in here, or build a trader in here now. Indrapura has its prasat. I'm going to get to work on the Gurdwara. It's a 14-turn build for +6 faith and +2 food, but it is worth it in the long run. We got the holy site in Priya Vihir. I'm going to get to work on the shrine, the prasat, and the Gurdwara in that order. Bhavapura has finished its aqueduct. I'm going to get to work on... Well, I will place the harbour because, again, similar to the commercial hub, the harbour gives you a trade route which allows you to increase your empire-wide tourism. Instead, though, I'm going to get to work on the holy site in here. This could have been a great spot for a Magnus shop in here too. And now that I've said that out loud, I will need to be thinking about that. I was going to consider moving Magnus, but I decided against it just because it didn't feel right. Sometimes you got to play with your gut. And I don't mean wiggling it. All right, let's go ahead and found a city right here. That's +3 era score. We love it. We've got Vyadapura. I am going to create... this city doesn't really exist for anything except for a trade route. It doesn't have anything else really going for it. So I'm just going to put a harbor in here. And that's all it's here for. And it's also here to claim some tiles. So I'm going to put a monument right there. The city's goal is to generate tourism and gold. So it doesn't really need to do much. We're going to fabricate a scandal in Bologna. It'll have a 63% chance of succeeding. 9% chance of him dying. There's a reasonable odds. It's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. So this is a huge turn for our tourism. We got +2 era score for discovering conservation. Conservation itself, the card doesn't matter. The sanctuary is nice, but the really key thing here is the naturalist that allows us to turn faith into tourism, and the fact that walls will now give tourism, as well as a few other things. So, key point being here, we can now plant forest to increase the appeal of tiles. So you can see here, the appeal of this tile is -1. When I move this builder to the northeast 1 tile, he will place woods, and now the appeal of this tile is 0. And we need to bring it up to at least +2. So the process of planting tiles all over, planting forest all over our cities is going to begin now. I'm going to place this trade route into Angkor Thom so that we can start trading internationally with our allies. Now that we have conservation, it's time to start researching civil engineering because we want the better builder production card. And it also gives us a governor title and it leads towards things like ideology. Hieronymus Bosch is available as a great artist, so I'm going to go ahead and recruit him. I have nowhere to place his stuff yet, but I will move him over to Haralaya preemptively because I'll be able to place him in there soon. My trader in Angkor Wat is good to go. I'm going to immediately purchase a naturalist once this builder moves out of the city. I guess I could purchase it in Lingapura and move it over there. So I'll buy the naturalist here and move it to Angkor Wat. I totally forgot to remove the mine on this tile again. Or maybe I placed it. Something. I may have placed it back down. We got the commercial hub in here. Another great way for me to generate tourism is through building builders. The entertainment complex is capable of generating a little bit of tourism as well. It's a trickle, but it is tourism. And so I'll place the entertainment complex because the high amenities appeal to me as well. I've completed the monument over here. I'm going to... I don't like doing this, but I will buy this tile. And then I will immediately place a preserve on that tile. And in the meantime, I will work on a granary. Down in Lingapura, I'm going to buy the mountain tile, which should, once I get a little bit more appeal in here, probably from planting this forest, allow me to create a national park here. All right, sweet. Let's go ahead and start planting the woods here. I should, if I buy a naturalist in Indrapura, which I can do. They do get more expensive the more of them you buy. I'm very close to being able to plant a national park right here. I just need to build a little bit more woods. I'm going to put a single wood here and then go chop the copper in Rajapihara because we can't really do much more with that tile. Let's get started planting woods over here. That should allow us to buy a naturalist in the area, 608. Swap that desert tile over and then we can get a national park there. This tile is eventually going to be a seaside resort, so I'm just going to harvest it. I built my spy in Angkor Thom. I'm going to go ahead and get to work on the zoo for the extra amenities. That should give me empire-wide appeal boosts, or yield boosts rather. There's no luxuries available for trade, sadly. No big deal. I built the harbor over in Raya Vihara. I'm going to buy a naturalist for 765 faith. I'm going to make sure, well, I need more money basically to buy these tiles, so we'll slowly build a monument in here. I'm going to put a lumber mill on this tile because I put a lumber mill pin on it. Now, we need trade routes with as many players as we can get. I'm going to open up a trade route with Greece. It doesn't matter that we Well, actually, we get 22 faith from it, so it is really, really damn good. But it doesn't matter that it's not like an overwhelming, insane, amazing, earth-shattering trade route. It just needs to be a good trade route. First national park is about to come online, and so is a hell of a lot of era score. That's +4 era score for the first national park, and I will boop, 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 delete all the pins. Now, if I go to 7, if I press 7 on my keyboard, not my numpad, I don't think numpad 7 works. We can see this is Lingapura National Park, which is generating 14 tourism per turn. Now, to put that into perspective, a single great work of writing is producing 2 tourism per turn, up to 6. It gets 100% from printing. Yeah, so 4 tourism per turn. So this is like this national park as if I have another 3.5 great works of writing. Okay, so that's the efficiency level that you're looking at when you're building these national parks. Let me go ahead and clean up this mine. This city is going to be buying those. I'll move my great artist onto that, and I will buy another naturalist for 850 faith. I'll chop this tile because it doesn't align with my goals, and I'll move you across the river and place a lumber mill. It should be pretty close. Yeah, now we can get the national park in here. Perfect. And we'll start placing lumber mills adjacent to increase the yield of that national park. See, ancient era from CHUNGUS. Boom, which means we have everything we need to theme a museum. We have an ancient era artifact from 3 different civilizations. Let's recruit Romeo and Juliet. I need to pick up production in Haralaya. I have finished an archaeological museum, so I'm going to faith purchase a archaeologist in here. Boom. I'll get him to go gather up stuff. My naturalist, I have everything I need here to place the national park. That's going to be +3 era score, plus a bunch of amenities. I can delete the pins now and send this guy up to the north to plant more forest. I have a great rider. I will teleport him to Lingapura to build, to put the great works of writing in that amphitheater. And I should now have enough appeal on these tiles to potentially build a national park. So I'm going to get started with a naturalist in here. It might not be there just yet, but I can, of course, send more builders to the north to get started on that. We have an aqueduct, we have a theater square, we have a holy site, all built in this city. I'm going to quickly grab the monument, the granary, and the watermill. Actually, I'm going to grab the monument and then the ancient walls. The monument for the culture, the ancient walls for the tourism. I'll plant a little forest in here, and yeah, perfect. We can plant the national park right here next turn. Lumber mill on this very powerful tile. Although, that said, unfortunately, there's nothing in range of both of these tiles. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Now, we could, in theory, we could add another national park to this sector right here. The appeal could be high enough in the area to make that work. So what I'm going to do is plant a bunch of extra lumber mills there, or rather plant a bunch of extra woods in the area to see if we can make that work. Because if I could squeeze in another national park, I would definitely take that as an option. In Angkor Wat, I'm going to faith purchase another builder because I want to keep the chain of builders going. And I'm going to move this builder to the right 1 tile to plant a forest to increase the appeal of the future national park that is going here right now. Another +3 era score. National parks does print era score as well as tourism. And this is the era of the tourism explosion. Our tourism is going to go ham. Speaking of tourism going ham, I'm going to purchase another naturalist here. Now they are getting expensive, 1,000 faith per turn. Thankfully, I do have the 15% faith discount thanks to Theocracy. And I also think I'm getting a faith purchase discount on the naturalist from Monumentality. It's a rare and powerful moment in time when that happens. Let us go ahead and buy these 2 mountain tiles, and I can move my naturalist to here, getting another national park for 3 era score, as well as a bunch of tourism and amenities. And I will buy another naturalist in Raja Vihara, so we can plant another one on these two tiles, and then another one over here. My archaeologist is ready to go pick up another archaeological great work. I'll go over to the Cree lands over here to go ahead and scoop that up. Magnus is established in Mistawasis, so it's probably time. I'm going to faith purchase a builder in here, even though it's slightly inefficient to do so, just so I can get the chops done in here faster. Then I'm going to optimize for tourism by planting more woods around this national park, because every forest beside it would add +1 to its tourism per tile of the national park that the forest touches. So this forest adds +1 tourism, this forest adds +2 because it's touching 2 tiles, this one adds +1. That is the sort of decision chain that we go down. Alrighty, I've got 4 envoys to play with. I should probably take out the Diplomatic League card. I will put a single envoy into Zanzibar because that is worth a small amount of gold per turn. And I'm going to put a single envoy into Ayutthaya to take their suzerainty so that we gain culture equal 10% of the construction cost when we build buildings. Effectively, what the suzerainty of Ayutthaya does is it converts 10% of your production into culture whenever you build a building, which needless to say, it's quite a powerful ability. But even though it was needless, I said it. So there's civil engineering. I'm going to go ahead and plug in the public works card, which will give us a 30% production boost towards builders and give them an extra 2 build slot actions. It's just a slight improvement of the card that we already had. Now, with civil engineering complete, I'm going to grab opera and ballet for the +2 envoys. I totally forgot to switch out diplomatic league. It's very easy to forget those things. The shrine is completed in Priya here. I'm going to go ahead and get the prasat for the culture, faith and tourism. Reina is quite good because tiles adjacent to unimproved features receive +1 appeal in this city, so we can go ahead and plant her into a city that we think is going to have a lot of national parks, like for example, Harihalaya. Let me grab her and assign her to that city. William Shakespeare will create a great work in Lingapura for me. And we are going to keep ripping up our terrain, planting the lumber mills and getting these tiles improved. One more of this, pop you in here, create the national park, perfect, +3 era score. Our tourism is now up to 168, so it is churning along. Also, pro tip, you don't need to plant the forest before you plant the national park. Just FYI. Let's get rid of this cattle tile. We're going to move you over here to plant a forest, and we'll plant a forest here as well. I had a naturalist in the area, so we'll go ahead and plonk that down right there. We can go ahead and delete the pins. I'm going to make sure that I swap these tiles to Mahendra Parvata. I got a spy in Anchor Thumb. I'm going to go ahead and get him to work in Chingwedi to force top competitors to lose envoys because we want to keep control of that city-state. This builder doesn't really have a job to do anymore in this city, and so I'm going to send him down to Indrapura. Anchor what? I want to be purchasing builders basically every turn in here as long as I can. I have a builder in Mistawasis. I'm going to start chopping to finish infrastructure. Let's place the aqueduct to go ahead and get more housing in this city. We can start planting farms down into Pious Oasis. I'll plonk a forest right here so that we can get the adjacency a little higher. We need just a little bit more appeal. We can make that work soon. I will swap this jungle tile to Mr. Wasis because Magnus is there and we can chop out infrastructure using it. I think we've met all the other players in the game now, so we're generating maximum metaculture from meeting all the players. I need to double check that I have open borders with them all. I'm missing open borders with Canada, so let me talk to Canada. I will grab open borders. Boom. And so the way this screen works, this is Sucretact's global relations screen. It's a mod. If I click on agreements and I hover over myself, you can see that that little symbol, the gray line, a double gray line means we have open borders with that player. So you can see I have a gray line going to every player in the game, which means I think I have given them open borders. A double gray lines means we've done mutual open borders. So you can see there's an open border agreement between us. It's a bilateral open border agreement. The dark gray line means that we have a resident embassy. So for example, with the Cree and with Gandhi, we don't have a resident embassy. And with Gilgamesh, we have a defensive pact, which is orange. So I'm going to go ahead and pop into Poundmaker and say, hey, do you want a resident embassy? He says no, that's fine. And I can do the same with Gandhi, who probably doesn't like me all that much, but I can ask him anyway. Oh, he does like me. Perfect. Resident embassies, I think, give you a benefit for diplomatic favor. It's hard to remember exactly off the top of my head. I'm going to plant a woods right here. The reason you want to plant woods inside your national park is because it adds +1 appeal to this tile and another +1 appeal to the 2 other tiles. So in actuality, the planting of a forest inside here is worth 3 tourism per turn. So you can see here, this is a 2 appeal tile. This is a 6 appeal tile, and this is the 5 appeal tile right here. I come in here, I plant the woods, I go back to the tourism screen, and now this is a 5 appeal tile, this is a 7 appeal tile, and this is a 3 appeal tile. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and harvest the cattle in this city. We will plant down a forest and we will harvest the marsh. We can just about squeak in a national park here. Boom. One of the really cute things about national parks is when they're adjacent to each other, they kind of link up. I'm going to send my archaeologist to the west, and I would love to buy another naturalist. I'll take these 2 tiles into consideration. We need just a little bit more appeal down here, so we can make that work pretty easily, I think. We have almost drained our economy of faith, but we are producing a small amount every single turn, which means it isn't the end of the world if we do drain it. Let's go ahead. I think I will chop the jungle first to finish the aqueduct. Then I want to chop out the holy site using the forest. Boom. So that's a 2-turn build now on that holy site. All of the chopping has been completed in this city, so I'm going to grab Magnus and I'm going to reassign him up to buy... No, actually, I should reassign him to here, provided there are choppable tiles. Well, there are, but I should really just buy this tile to chop it in here. Yeah, we're not ready to move them. This city is kind of more forward and will provide us with a way bigger loyalty bomb, so to speak. This guy's making 4.9 loyalty in India. Yeah, if he gets a Dark Age, it's ogre for him. Nice, we completed the entertainment complex in Angkor Wat. I'm going to go ahead and start manually building builders because faith purchasing them has become a little bit prohibitively expensive, whereas we're still making really good production, so that's something that we can look into. We'll step forward with you, build another thingy because we want to see if we can squeak a national park in here, which I think we can, provided we do things correctly. Let me squeak you around here and plant another forest. Perfect. Yep, we can squeak in a national park. So boom, there it is. +3 era score. Put a little forest right here because that's +2 appeal for that national park. And then we'll move up north to start improving here. These tiles along the coast are technically out of the range of Angkor Thom, so I will go ahead and steal them for now. Although I think we're not actually going to put lumber mills there. I think all along this coastline, we're going to be building seaside resorts because seaside resorts convert appeal into tourism. I can never find the seaside resort in this thing until I say I can't find it, and then I find it every single time. Every single time I say like, oh, I don't know where the seaside resort is. I'm pretty sure my brain, that's how my brain has like stored that information. It's only able to find it when I say that I can't find it, and then it remembers every single time that I've said that. And I genuinely think that is how my brain has decided to store that information. Okay, I'm going to move you down to Vijayanagara. I have a few build charges here. Go ahead and improve these tiles to the south. I am looking for a little bit more cash. Let me sell off that to Greece. I probably should have. No, Greece is actually fine. It's Canada that I don't want to sell things to. I'll sell off my strategics for a little bit of upfront gold so that I can buy this tile and this tile, which should, in theory, allow me to put another national park in this city. Boom. That's going to be +3 era score, as well as a beautiful boost to my tourism. We're up to 223 tourism per turn right now, and that is only going to get better. I will purchase another naturalist in Rajavihara because all we need to make that work in here is to buy tiles. We got the holy site in Mistawasis, which means we did spread. Oh yes, and there's chops here so that we can even skyrocket the city even faster by chopping out shrines. We do need to convert the city, which means I think I should buy inquisitors. I never did a Inquisition, so I'll buy an apostle first this turn, do an inquisition, and then I can get inquisitors to switch that city over. All right, let's go ahead and chop out that shrine, and then we'll use the overflow production to finish the prasat, and then I'll chop out the prasat and use that overflow production to build the granary and the watermill, because what we want in here is to grow really fast. The faster we can grow the city, the faster we can start to exert untenable pressure on our surrounding cities, the faster we can steal those cities and run away with the game. Rathanik has found another artifact. This is a medieval era one. I will take Poundmaker first. Let's go ahead and build a plantation on the coffee. That's another luxury that we can sell to the AI. I will sell this one to anyone but Canada, which is now what I'm officially dubbing Canada. I'm going to take, I already have a Bologna and Pericles one, but Bologna should be in theory rarer because it's only on one place on the map. Nationalism is on the way. We're going to go ahead and grab nationalism for the +1 governor title. I'm going to pop in here. I'm going to take out Diplomatic League and I'm going to plug in. It's either Merchant Confederation or Charismatic Leader. I think I would like the gold more than I would like Charismatic Leader, so I'm going to go for that. We got Ancient Walls in Haralaya. The Ancient Walls do now generate tourism, so if I go into the city, you can see it provides 1 tourism after advancing to the Conservation Civic. So if I press 7 in my keyboard, you can see I'm now producing 1 tourism in the city. The walls, oh shoot. I am going to 1/3 research exploration because I need to plug in the wall building card. Renaissance era, I will take Gandhi. Oh, we're so close. We're so close to theming museums. The appeal should be high enough in here for this to be a national park, which is great. We have a chop there. You're moving forward to build a farm. Excellent. My apostle, I'm going to launch an inquisition with. That'll get me +2 era score. And now down in Vijayanagara, I will build myself 2 inquisitors to sort of clean up the religious influence of these other cities. Then I will send my archaeologists to go clean up these antiquity sites, which of course naturally generate a lot of tourism for us. We researched exploration. I'm going to change my government policy. I want to get rid of retainers and instead I want to plug in limes. That's going to allow me to build walls 100% faster, effectively increasing the productivity I get, the relative amount of tourism I get for the level of production that I invest. Let's research nationalism, then urbanization, and then mass media. We would like to get Christoph Redentor if it is available, because that gives us 100% tourism from seaside resorts across our civilization. And this is a special multiplier that actually multiplies with other multipliers, so it's far more powerful than you think. It's a multiplicative modifier, not an additive multiplier, which are 2 very different things that would require an entire video of its own to explain. Multiplicative are generally better than additive. So we have a art museum here in Vijayanagara. So I will teleport Hieronymus Bosch down here to drop a great work of art in there. I'm also going to build a monument in here, as well as the watermill and granary, just to allow the city to continue to grow to a really high population. We would like to get all of our cities to 20 population if we could. The Gurdwara is completed in Indrapura. I'm going to work on the monument. I'll repair the aqueduct, and then I will get to work on the harbour district to be able to get an extra trade route. Trade routes are good. Real good. I'll send this Inquisitor to Pioasis, and I'll send this one to Mistoasis. I'll convert the city. There we go. Buddhism instantly, making our life easier. The city should be generating an absurd amount of food and faith right now. And we should also be seeing a lot of pressure on these other cities. I think it's the loyalty map mode we want to look at here. Yeah, these guys are losing loyalty now. And that will only get worse as these cities get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Chop here to finish the watermill, and then we'll overflow into the Gurdwara. I can move Magnus now. I'm going to grab him and move him up to the city of Bhavapura. Now, you might be saying, Potato, this is a tall build? You've got like so many cities. And it's like, yeah. Tall means how far your cities are apart. This is a sparse build. Each city in this empire serves a purpose. Just like if you had half a continent to yourself, like a tall build doesn't mean you only settle 4 cities. It means you settle your cities really far apart from each other and build them big. Tall does not mean like a set number of cities. It means how far apart you space your cities and how many you make in total, like per square inch of land. This is definitively, in my opinion, a tall build that we're doing right here. It's just that tall in Civ 6 looks very different from tall in previous games. Angkor Thom has been completed when it comes to ancient walls. So we're going to get to work on medieval walls, because again, medieval walls are worth 2 tourism. We completed the watermill over here. I'm going to swing down and grab myself the aqueducts that we are looking for, because our aqueducts give us +1 faith per population. I will harvest the marsh on this tile so that I can place a farm there later, and I will place a lumber mill on this tile so that we can have really, really nice yields. Lingapura finished an archaeological museum. I'm going to go ahead and faith purchase an archaeologist because they're extremely powerful and I'm able to purchase them for an extremely cheap price. Hieronymus Bosch will place a great work into this building, and then you'll pop over here and build that lumber mill for me. And then in Vimayapura, I was going to faith purchase something, but I have forgotten what it was. I think it might have been a naturalist, but I don't remember. I'm going to harvest the sheep on this tile because I would like to put a farm on it because it is adjacent to the aqueduct, which will allow us to grow an absurd level of population and therefore put a lot of cultural loyalty pressure on our neighbor. Steal more of his cities. The blob is activating. I don't know why the blob is French. The blob. The blob. Ancient walls is complete in Mahendra Parvata. I will get to work on the medieval walls for the base tourism amount. We are heading into the next era in 9 turns, and I am guaranteed a golden age as it currently stands because I'm above the threshold. Heng is established in Chinguetti. I'm going to go ahead and tell him to establish, or rather to fabricate a scandal in order to reduce the total amount of envoys my opponents have there so they can't try to steal this from me. My naturalist in Raja Vihara is in position to create another national park. Boom. Boom, 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 boom. We're up to 270 tourism per turn. We have 16 foreign tourists. We're generating 357 tourism against Canada, 429 against Greece. So yeah, somewhere between those two numbers is what we're generating against every player, which means we're stealing a tourist every few turns. We need to generate 1,600 tourism against a player in order to steal the tourist. So we're going to get tourist on average between 4 and 5 turns per player. Slightly under 4 turns. To slightly under 5 turns. That's our kind of range right now, which means we are very much so like I talked about how we put the engine into gear and like put our foot to the floor, and now the acceleration is happening, right? We're starting to reach the peak speeds that this baby is capable of doing. One little tip for great artists is don't put all of their great works in a single city, spread them out. They'll actually generate more tourism. If you put all the great works from a great artist into a single city, they generate less tourism. You want to have a diverse portfolio of great works of art in your city museums. Don't just plonk them all from the same dude in there, man. Okay, cool. We got the watermill in Lingapura. It has a holy site. It has a theatre square. The only thing I haven't built is the aqueduct, so I'll quickly finish that because that's a lot of faith that's available there. I'm going to promote Reina with forestry management, which will give a +2 gold for each unimproved feature, as well as giving tiles adjacent to unimproved features getting +1 appeal. That will make the national parks in here a lot more valuable. Huge growth potential in Mistoasis. We got a builder over here in Angkor Wat. I'll send you to the west. So many builders. I will extract this artifact. What is it? It's a pound maker artifact in the industrial era. I'll take a free city one because those are quite rare. Difficult to get a free city artifact. +2 era score for about 25 population city. That's exciting. My capital has built the medieval walls. Let's work on the Renaissance walls. Renaissance walls are worth +3 tourism. Hari Harilaya has completed medieval walls. I'm now going to get to work on Renaissance walls because that's also worth 3 tourism. Tourism is hit 320 per turn, only 100 away from the giga number. And we have completed the Prasat in Priya Vihir so that we can get Gurdwaras, which will increase our faith. I'm going to pop up onto this hill with a builder, and I'm going to place a forest here. I'm curious. This is a 5 appeal, and if I improve it, it's now 7. Oh, wow. So forests are extremely powerful in the city now when unimproved for tourism. These guys are making 33 tourism and 27 compared to an average national park making 17. Reina is actually insane. Oh my god, I never knew she was so good for national parks. I thought it was, the way I read this bonus, I thought it was tiles adjacent to unimproved features receive +1 appeal in this city. I thought that was only benefited from once, but it seems every single unimproved feature adds extra appeal, which is insane. Via Maya Piora, I'm going to build a naturalist here. And now the last 2 national parks are up here in Mahendra Pavarda. So we'll get those down in there eventually. Medieval era, I'll take a Pericles because I can't remember which other medieval era ones I've taken. And for this artifact, this is an industrial era, I'll take a Pound Maker because I think I took a free city one last time. I know that only happened a few seconds ago from a gameplay standpoint. From a mental standpoint, that happened aeons ago for me. I don't think I want to change my government for anything. I did, however, just finish researching urbanization, so we can now get to work on neighborhoods. There are some interesting things you can do with neighborhoods for tourism, but I don't think we will need to. We are already up to 22 tourists. And Canada is steaming ahead, don't get me wrong, but we are churning the tourist butter, which sounds like a district. Would you like the tourist butter district, sir? Or not a district, it sounds like a cuisine. Tourist butter or house butter, sir? Like, you know, where you have like house wine. Let's go and chop the forest there. We've got the ancient walls in Yasso, medieval walls for the tourism. Let's go create another great work from Hieronymus Bosch over here in a different museum. This city now has plenty of food. It needs a little bit of production, so I'll plant a forest and a lumber mill there. Okay, Renaissance walls are next. Beautiful. We got the aqueduct in Lingapura. Let's start building the walls. We got the Gurdwara in Mistwasis. Let's go ahead and get the walls improvement. Lots of tourism churning along there. Lumber mill, beautiful. Lumber mill. Beautiful. This city is now officially flipping. It's got 19 turns until rebellion. That's going to be awesome. And we're only going to speed that up given enough time. I'm going to go ahead and I don't think I have another art museum. So I'm going to plant the Hieronymus Bosch into here. I mean, look, if you don't have another museum, it's better to have the great work than not. But if you do have another museum, try to put it in a different museum. A spy was killed in Bologna. That feels bad. I got the Renaissance walls in Angkor Thom. I'm going to go ahead and rebuild that spy. It'll take 10 turns. It's not a big deal. And I am currently, I believe, trading with India, so I want to trade with someone else other than India, and the person that I choose to trade with is Greece, so I'll trade with Greece right now. So I'm getting the 25% tourism boost from both of these players, bringing us up to about 500 tourism per turn, which means we're slightly over 3 turns, and we will get a tourist from each of those players. Wilhelmina would like to buy my luxuries. I will, of course, sell them. And Gandhi, I'm going to sell the Pound Maker because he's not scary. Let's go ahead and design a national park, or designate a national park rather, not design. I mean, it's already been designed. But yeah, it's sad. We're going to be losing the ability to purchase civilian units with faith in a little bit. Tech-wise, I think we'll pick up banking. That's on the way to flight, right? Yeah, so banking, astronomy into scientific theory, then straight away to flight so that we can start generating extra tourism from our culture improvements. Ancient walls in Lingapura will go straight for medieval walls to improve our tourism per turn. Basically the same story across our empire. Ancient walls into medieval walls in Vimayapura as well. We got the monument in Rajavihara. I'll go watermill and granary in here. The city's production is not particularly important. We got the monument here in Vyadapura. So I will go for the granary. Again, not a particularly important city for us to build up. I will buy myself another builder. I need to repair the tiles over here near this national park because if I don't, the appeal of these tiles is actually lower. We finished researching mass media. It can be pretty important for us to get the Cristo Redentor because it doubles the tourism from seaside resorts, which is incredibly powerful. I'll get to work on researching ideology, and then I'll have a look at my capital and see if we want to try to build the Cristo Redentor. I don't even know if the game is going to last another 30 turns for me to win. In particular, if we can get flight, I think it's just GG. I mean, I'll build the Cristo Redentor. This could be a city where a industrial zone is justified. I'm going to put the time into quickly grabbing an industrial zone to see if that will speed up the Cristo. Renaissance walls in Mr. Wasis and Renaissance walls up here. We will also get ancient walls here. I will use my gold to purchase a shrine and a prasat, and then I'll faith purchase the Gurdwara. We got the Renaissance walls in Hariharalaya. I'll quickly build a granary and watermill just for the extra growth. It can be worth it to do that. Reina, I'm going to promote with tax collector so that I make a small trickle of extra gold. I will repair this Niter mine. And the appeal in this city should be high enough now for me to buy a Naturalis. All I need to do, I think, is to swap this tile and it will be valid. It is valid like a salad. Okay, boom. Improve that fish. I'm super down for units to be cheaper with production, and I'm happy for Canada to get more grievances. Don't care too much. Was hoping for the faster building of city centre buildings, but we did not get it. Wilfrid Laurier was targeted, and units are cheaper with production. We're going to make a dedication to Heartbeat of Steam. That's going to give us a 10% production boost towards Industrial Era Wonders, and it'll also give campus districts science adjacency as production. Not super important, not super applicable, but now we can no longer use our faith on builders and stuff like that, so we will have to use it for the generation of tourism, which is great because we are getting close to unlocking Cold War, which will give us access to rock bands, so we can power our way to the end game very easily. Do I have room in my cities? I have room for one more great work. We'll have to see what we can do. I'm going to harvest the marsh and harvest the farm and then replace it with a lumber mill. Tourism is up to 370 per turn. We are climbing rapidly. Got a little bit of a flood over here. We'll have to come back and repair all that. Well, that's fine. Let's extract this artifact. I will take a Johannesburg. City-states tend to be rarer than players, so my general principle is always to try and take a city-state one over a player one. In most situations, that's not a do this always. That's a sort of a general guide to how I like to approach getting great works. Nice, +3 era score, beautiful for the industrial zone. We also get access to the bank, and Scorched Earth is now finished. How long will it take me to build a crystal? 26 turns. I'm going to use gold to speed that up more by building the workshop and stuff like that. And speaking of gold, I need to sell stuff off. I want to sell my resources to anyone except for Canada. It's really, really important that I do not sell them to Canada. Unless they're completely useless, like diplomatic favor, in which case Canada is the guy we want to sell them to. We've got 1,000 gold in the bank, and I can purchase a factory in here. That'll shave another 4 turns off of the Crystal Redentor. I need to get a builder to go improve this coal, because I don't actually have access to coal, and I will need coal to fuel my Crystal Redentor. I think I can purchase some luxuries, and I will, just to make sure that we secure our future. Let's take a look and see if there are any great works of writing available from Canada specifically. And now we'll look for great works of portrait. From Canada is who we're looking for. Canada has a religious great work. I'll take it. And the reason we're buying Canada's great works is to lower his culture. I'll build a monument in Granary just to clean up. It'll take a few turns. Renaissance walls in Vimayapura is the next step. Ancient walls in Indrapura is next for you too. I'm going to put 2 envoys into Johannesburg, which will give me +1 production for every improved resource type. It'll give us a little bit of control over him. And I'm going to level up my relationship with Chinguetti to become suzerain again. Ayutthaya has been stolen. I have plenty of envoys in the bank to maintain these suzerainties. And I will put 1 single envoy into Zanzibar to slightly increase my gold per turn. Put a little lumber mill there to increase the productivity because it's giving adjacency to these national parks, which is wonderful. Put a little lumber mill there as well. And you can go ahead and continue building the farms in Paioi Oasis. Unfortunately, the Cree did get a normal age, so he's not quite as vulnerable to our blabage. We got the aqueduct in here. We need to get our medieval walls. We need that tourism skyrocket to continue. We're up to 400 tourism per turn. It's pretty tasty. We have 41 in the bank. Canada has 100. We're almost culturally dominant over 1, 2, 3 different civs. 4 different civs we're almost culturally dominant over, actually. Man, I gotta say, playing Civ feels amazing. I love this game so damn much. We took a little bit of a break from it because, you know, I think it's good to take a break for something when you do it so much, because you'll come back to it like a fresh perspective and a fresh desire and a fresh, you know, heart. And man, do I love this game. So I definitely want to grow this city quite a lot. And the reason that I want to grow this city quite a lot is, are these floodplains here? I want to look at the appeal. Is so that I can loyalty pressure this guy over here. Now, part of that is going to be to build entertainment complexes. So I'll put an entertainment complex here to improve the adjacency of these theater squares. I've got ancient walls coming in Indrapura. I'll go ahead and get those medieval walls up. Renaissance walls are finished in Mist Oasis. I'll very quickly grab the monument and then the market for the trade route. Monument for culture, market for the trade route. I'll press E to auto explore with that scout because I don't really need to micromanage him anymore. Oh, I need to double check. Yeah, I'm missing open borders with Korea, with the Cree, with Netherlands, and with Canada. So let's go through the list of players. Wait, okay, maybe I misread the situation. But I am missing open borders with a few of these guys. Maybe I inverted how it actually was. I named all the civ I did have open borders with. Whoops. Again, open borders, super important for that 25% boost to tourism. It doesn't sound like much, but it really adds up over the course of a game. Lovely, we got the aqueduct done. Let's grab, well, I don't think I should bother building a builder in here. I think, in terms of optimizing and maximizing our tourism, Mont Saint Michel could be a good pickup, but I think what I will do is I will go ahead and build a neighborhood, because neighborhoods are able to generate a small trickle of tourism in the late game. And every trickle comes together with all the other trickles to become a mighty stream. So if you were only a trickle, all you got to do is you got to find some more people to stand with you before you become unignorable. I bought all the land in here. Let's go ahead and get a naturalist. We definitely need to pop down a couple of national parks here. There's mobilization, finished researching. We're going to take the great musician Ludwig van Beethoven. We finished the granary in Yazda Bahura. We have the Holy Site, Theatre Square, and Aqueduct, which is like the godlike combination that the Khmer really thrives on. I am going to go ahead and build the Domri just to get the era score. We have the Renaissance walls finished in here. This is an edge city, and since it's on the edge of my empire, I'm going to try to edge out India using a entertainment complex to increase the amenities, get a small bit of tourism, and be able to do bread and circus to cripple his loyalty. We got the Gurdwara in Priya here. Probably could use a builder in here. I think a key thing for me to get would be an entertainment complex, like in here somewhere. But I'm going to plant an industrial zone there just because the city has really bad production and will never have great production. Unless I do something like that. I will place the harbour in this city so that we can get an extra trade route. In terms of governor promotions, I'm going to max out Pingala's promotions just to get the era score. There's no other real reason to do that, and I don't really have anything else I need to spend them on. I'm going to grab military research for the small increase in science from building Renaissance walls. And I wish I could plug in liberalism and Republican legacy, but I can't quite yet. However, I'm maxed out on amenity, so it's not even that big of a deal that I don't have that. My naturalist is in position over here, so I can get myself another national park. Beautiful. Boom, 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 boom. Delete all those pins. Anchor Thom has a great musician. I need more theatre squares to finish so I can have more storage room for great works. It's kind of the problem that I'm running into at the moment. Renaissance walls in Indrapura. I have a couple envoys I can spend, but I'm going to keep these in the bank so I can maintain my suzerainty. My alliance with Gilgamesh ran out, so I'm going to go ahead and declare a friendship with him and get back my research alliance for the little bit of gold that was worth. We removed enemy envoys from Chingweri. I'm going to take the license to kill promotion on Heng, so that he operates at a higher level. In all skills, I'll auto-explore with the Spearman, and this little builder will go improve that farm. I'll send a builder up to Bhavapura because I do have Magnus established in that city, and I need to be able to improve those tiles. Nice, +5 era score for circumnavigating the globe. This builder will be sent out to Mr. Wasis to help this city out because it has a few tiles that are worth improving. And we're going to go ahead and keep planting the forests in Mahendra Parvata for the naturalist that we're going to grab in here to build another national park. This really is like a perfect national park little spot right there. Let's go ahead and remove the lumber mill so we can put the mine on the coal. It does slightly reduce our tourism by lowering the appeal of the national park. Word hard. Okay, a few of the players want to buy open borders from me, so that's kind of how I can check. Korea wants to buy open borders, which means I don't have mutual with them. Perfect. Mutual open borders. Heng is going to continue to fabricate scandals in here. He's got a 74% chance of succeeding, and he does 4 envoys, which is awesome. So we'll keep Chingweri well under our control. A spy from the Greek Empire was captured. Bologna declared war on Gilgamesh. A couple of friendships ran out, that's fine. I should go through and renew all these friendships. You can spy on your friends, but not your allies. Okay, no one wants to declare a friendship with me because I'm now dominant over their culture, which I think is pissing them off. Unlucky, bro. Let's build the ancient walls in Angkor Wat so we can start to improve our tourism. Mr. Wasis has its market. I would love to build a theatre square in here. And here's a +2 theatre square. I'll also build an entertainment complex, but theatre square first because I need room for great works. Medieval walls completed in Oasis, so I will grab the Renaissance walls. Again, more and more tourism. We're up to 440 per turn, and we will chop here. Wait, what city even owned that tile? Oh my god, Vimayapura, you're noodle of death. Just get the hell out of there, man. They're not your tiles. It noodled all the way over here. A crazy person. Let's put a mine on that tile. Look at that. Oh yeah, 1 food, 8 production, Lovely tiles. They're all lovely tiles. +3 era score. I will take an artifact from Buenos Aires. Okay, can I finally now do some theming? So I have a mod that makes it easier just visually to theme a museum. So I can click artifacts to filter by artifacts and then click on theming to sort of filter. I believe the color is the era and the number is the player. And what you basically want to make theming simpler is you want the era, aka the color, to match, but none of the numbers to match. And so at a quick glance, if you're clever and quick, if I were to put this mummy artifact up here, this would not be a themed museum. But if I take this javelin that has an 11 on it and I put it here, it will immediately become themed. Similarly, if I take this 62 and I put it down in Lingapura, we can have another themed museum. So 2 of my museums are themed, which feels great. +4 era score for training a Domri for the very first time. I'm very happy about that. We're going to claim a great person, Alexander Pushkin, who is a great writer. And I'm also going to claim, I forget how to say this guy's name, but I'm just going to call him Ying. I forget how to say the Q in Chinese. I feel like it has a Q. I remember Z is like je, and Q is like Q or something. I don't remember. Listen, I don't remember. So I'm just not going to try, because I know it'll just sound offensive, or something like that anyway. All right, let's go ahead and build the entertainment complex for the extra little bit of a trickle of tourism and also the ability to culturally push our borders. Lingapura has completed its entertainment complex, so we could run in bread and circuses if we wanted to push Ahmedabad. I would probably wait until I had a entertainment complex in all 3 of these cities. Instead, what I'll work on is a arena for the +2 amenities that provides. And we have fully filled up our national parks. We're making 500 tourism per turn. It's looking great. We're up to 59 tourists. Pop a little farm right there. My cities are growing like crazy. We'll build the medieval walls in Angkor Wat. Turn down for Angkor Wat. I will chop here to finish the the medieval walls and the Renaissance walls really quickly. Basically, the entirety of my empire is improved at this point, so I don't have a whole lot left for my builders to do. I have a few like tiles at the edge of my empire that need to be improved, but you know how it is. +2 era score for having a technology from the next era. That's flight. Now that we have flight, if we come in here to our Prasat, each one in a city with 10 population is generating 10 tourism, and each one in a city with 20 population is generating 20 tourism. So it's all above board and it's all happy days. Next up, I want to research radio to get access to seaside resorts, which is a great way for us to turn our coastal tiles, like over here with high appeal, into tourism. +3 era score for completing our first neighborhood, as well as the boost for chemistry coming along. We can't build the buildings in the neighborhood just yet, but this city could definitely get to work on a entertainment district going right there. Again, remember, there's a tiny trickle of tourism coming from all of those theater squares. It's not a huge amount, right? Totally fair, but it is an amount that exists. Medieval walls completed in Angkor Wat. Let's get the Renaissance walls for the +3 tourism. We got the arena in Lingapura. I want a nice neighborhood. I'll put a neighborhood on this mine right there. It's a decent tile. Again, just trying to turn my production into tourism as efficiently as possible. I'll take back Johannesburg. I will also put an envoy. Well, I won't quite yet put an envoy into Valletta. We are now dominant over every civ with the exception of Greece and Canada. I guess the Netherlands is just about to squeak past, so I'm very happy about that. Cultural heritage would give us 100% tourism from great works of art and artifacts, and we now have rock bands available, and that means it's time to start sending rock bands to Canada. So we're going to go through every single city in my empire and buy an absurd amount of rock bands to send to Canada to culture bomb them into oblivion. And I don't mean the Bethesda game. However, I would be very interested to see what Canada in oblivion would look like. Just people apologizing and being polite as you rob them blind. We all play RPGs that way, right? Right? Okay, I lost my open borders with Canada. I'm going to go ahead and make a deal with him. Open borders, please, sir. I could do with another trade route. I'll just quickly purchase a trader in Anchor Thom. Ooh, do you know what else I should purchase in here? I should definitely purchase a coal power plant to skadoosh production up. +3 era score for running coal. We're up to 100 production in here thanks to the industrial zone. Really cranking it out now. I'll grab the lighthouse. I have a rock band. All of these rock bands will be just sent towards Canada. Why do we send our rock bands to Canada? Well, basically how rock bands work is they increase this number for us and then decrease this number for the player that we use them against. And so we could send them to Greece, but the most efficient use of them would be against Canada. It's like the simplest way to explain that. So using the modded tourism overview. We are trading with Greece, India, Sumeria, and Korea. I don't know if we can get a trade route out to anyone else meaningful in a reasonable amount of time. And meaningful here means an increase to our tourism output, because if you have a trade route with another civilization, you do get a tourism boost. It is, in fact, a very nice little boost. Yes, my horde of rock bands are on their way, and 1 million more are well on their way. Okay, there's cultural heritage. I'm going to drop public works because I don't need that many builders anymore, and I'll plug in heritage tourism for the plus 44 tourism per turn. We're up to 83 tourists. I don't even know if my rock bands are going to get over there in time to play. I'm going to swing back and grab democracy because, in my opinion, it is the best government for a tourism victory, and the main reason for that is its economic and wildcard policies. Communism can also be used for a tourism victory, in particular a tourism victory whereby you have very little contact or are forced into war with your neighbors. Democracy is good for a tourism victory because cards like heritage tourism are economic cards. Cards like sports media, not sports media, like satellite broadcasts, things like online communities. All of the best tourism cards are economic, and economic cards can be put into economic and wildcard slots. In addition, democracy gets bonuses for trading with your allies, and you get resources for trading people internationally. So you get extra tourism for trading internationally, so democracy just tends to work best for tourism victories. Now, my theater square in Mista Oasis is finished. I'm going to scroll down here and get myself an amphitheater so we can go ahead and buy more great works of writing from Canada. I've got 5 envoys in the bank. I'll drop 3 into Zanzibar to increase our cash flow. How far can this trade route reach? Oh, we can actually trade with Canada. That is huge. That's another 25% tourism against Canada, which will reduce the growth of this number. Remember, culture is your defense. Tourism is your offense. Tourism erodes culture. Okay, we got Renaissance walls in Angkor Wat. Let's grab the arena because it's worth amenities and a trickle of tourism. We got the entertainment complex in Yaso da Pura. I'll get the arena again for the same reason. I have a harbor available here. I'm going to get the lighthouse for the trade route. Chop chop in here. Thank you, good sir. Overflow to a builder, because we want to keep improving these tiles. There's the Crystal Redentor. This will give us extra tourism from our holy cities because they won't be diminished by the Enlightenment Civic, and any seaside resorts we can get will be much more effective. Okay, what wonders? We have Broadway that we can pick up here. I'll build Broadway because it has room for great works of writing and great works of music. The arena is done in Angkor Wat. I will build a neighborhood, again, because there's a trickle of tourism. If we research capitalism for the shopping mall, that gives you +4 tourism. I will just plonk the neighborhood over here beside that national park. That's perfect. And we're going to go ahead and harvest both of these to be able to rush out the entertainment complex. Loyalty in Ahmedabad is crashing. They are having a rough time there, so we will try to outpop them, muscle them down. Perfect, we got another trade route capacity. I'm going to pop into Angkor Thom and buy another trader. My neighborhood has been built in Lingapura. I'll quickly repair my Gurdwara and then run a bread and circus. While active, bread and circus will increase our loyalty pressure by 0.5 per citizen, which will be a total of a 9 extra pressure. And the pressure will decrease by 10% every tile. So that'll be 9, 8.1, 8, 7.2, 6.4, 5.5 extra pressure, and they're already losing 2.9. So bread and circuses will be very effective in stealing their cities. The blob. We are the blob. I need a neighborhood in this city. I'll pop it right there. It's fine. Right, what could go wrong if you're building a city beneath a mountain? Really? Wait, sorry, it's not a mountain. It is a volcano. Right, harvest there. That'll finish the arena. You already have a neighborhood, so go ahead and build me a preserve? Does that even make sense to do? I don't actually know. I mean, it does add appeal to the adjacent tiles, which would mean a seaside resort on this tile would be better. Speaking of seaside resorts, let's build a couple builders to go get those built. So there's democracy. We're going to immediately switch to democracy. There's +3 era score for adopting a new type of government. We definitely want New Deal. I'll plug in liberalism as well as the all-seeing or all nice eye of Raj, I guess. Yeah. Boom. Workshop and Priva here. We do not need to build higher tier buildings in the workshop. We've got the builder in here. Boom. I will get one more builder. You've completed your harbor. Build that lighthouse because we need the trade route. This trade route will go to probably get it moved over here to see if we can trade with another civilization. And well, maybe we could trade across the ocean with the Netherlands if we had built a series of trading posts. However, we didn't do that, so we can't. Okay, cool. There's radio. That gives us access to the seaside resort that I was talking about. Next up, tech-wise, we want to research computers because it gives us a 25% boost to our tourism across our entire empire. That is just a flat 20% tourism boost, which is insane. We're up to 105 tourists, but 116 needed to win. We're on the final stretch. I'm going to build some broadcast centers in my cities because it's just going to keep them busy until the end of the game. Here it comes. I'm going to trade with because it's a pretty good place to have a trading post, and I will plant a little forest in there. Ooh, a 1,000-year flood has been mitigated. Ahmadabad is now flipping towards me, which is kind of funny and hilarious to me. In Vimayapura, I am going to run a bread and circus because I want to see if I can flip that city before the game ends. It is doubtful because we're still 10 tourists right behind Canada. I got the neighborhood in here. Let's go ahead and build that broadcast center. Ancient walls done in here. Get the medieval walls. I got my lighthouse. I will plonk down a trader in here just to see what it can reach. I will purchase the shipyard because that's a building that needs to be built in order to improve the city by a significant amount. We're going to go ahead and get the holy site in here to give it extra appeal to the tiles that are adjacent to it. And I need a builder in here to repair the tiles that the city has just lost in a big, horrible flood. I'll build a lumber mill. This is a hill, right? Yeah, I'm not crazy. You can't put seaside resorts on hills, so you kind of have to put word really hard. You have to put, oh my god, I can't think of the word. You have to put lumber mills, woods and lumber mills on them. Okay, let's promote this guy. Album cover art, that is actually my favorite promotion. This rock band is ready to be leveled up as well. I'm going to give him entertainment complexes, that's fine. I'll get you up onto land, and album cover art. Album cover art is my favorite one, so I'm always going to take it. I don't think it's the best one. The theater square one is the best one in my opinion, but I just really like album cover art. So I'm going to go ahead and research environmentalism, because environmentalism will also increase the tourism of my empire by 25%. And then we're going to go ahead and get to work. We're 6 turns away. Agent was killed in CHUNGUS. He had to roll a natural 1 to get killed there, by the way. For any of you D&D players, he rolled a nat 1 and got wrecked. Let's trade with Amsterdam, because apparently I can actually reach that city, so there's another bit of tourism boost. Rock band lands on the thing. Album cover art, we love it. All right, let's play our first concert here. We're gonna make 1,000 tourism, and we have a 37% chance to die. All right, Loud Improvement. That is the name of this band. Boom, let's see how they do. They generated 2,000 tourism, but they died. That could be enough tourism to win us the game. You never know. We got a builder in here. Let's send him up here to get those seaside resorts. In the meantime, why don't you build me a shopping mall, because that's worth 4 tourism per turn. Not that you're going to finish it before the game ends. All right, dude, here comes a radical performance. 50% chance that he dies. Taking suzerains. Coming up, 750 tourism sold with 750 tourism generated with 50 albums sold. Next up is Hungry Faith with a 37% chance that these rockers will die, and it looks like these guys have done the business because they generated 1,000 tourism, got 150 albums, and boy oh boy did they earn themselves a promotion. Nobody wants to hear about you finishing a granary. We've got rock bands we need to listen to. Jesus. Fury Jets 50-50 dice roll, and they're dead. Aging rockers, they were no good. Their agent booked them the wrong venue, dude. It was kind of a massacre. And I don't mean like a literal. I just mean like the music was awful and the crowd hated them. Yeah, it was grim. It did not go down well, dude. Oh, victory! 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 Yeah! Congratulations, you earned a Hall of Fame badge. Pew, 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 pew. The PotatoMcWhiskey Challenge is complete. If you want to go beat the PotatoMcWhiskey Challenge, you gotta go to Civ and click the thing. There's links and stuff. Go do it. All right, let's quickly do the graphs. Buildings constructed, cities captured, cities founded. You all know what you're here for. You're all here for this, right? You're here for it. It's the most important thing. It's gotta be. I mean, look, you're all just wondering how many units I killed. No. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You want to know how many total governors, right? That's the one you like. What if I didn't click on it? What if you had to be a patron? You know, that would just be evil. Total religious founded. Oh, there's the graph. The crowd goes wild. Pew, 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 pew. Oh, look at those religions! Oh my god, they founded so many religions! Oh! Thank you guys very much for watching. I love you all very much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!